Hi, how's it going everyone today? Oh boy, so remember when I said I was gonna take a bit of a break before starting the second Ace Attorney game? Well, I lied. Haha, take that. Oh boy. I just had some... The game's really fun, alright? I want to play more. I want to play more. Let's get going. How about... Alright. Select adventure. We're playing the sequel. So let's see what happens now.
Standing here in the bright sunshine, looking out over the vast ocean. Those days in London seem like a dream. But I do miss my time in England's vast capital.
Oh.
You know,
Wait, who died?
Into a
I don't know.
Wonderful lawyer.
Oh. Probably Kazuma. I don't know if that's his grave or what, but...
He's fighting some noble cause in court. Forgive me for taking so long to come to visit you. My life has been such a whirlwind since I returned. And no one could have predicted what has happened. Just 2 months after arriving home.
Oh. Oh, it's her again. What'd she do?
So
God dang it.
I came here today to ask something of you. Tomorrow, I shall be standing in court.
What?
For the only time in my life. As a lawyer.
Oh. Okay.
So
oh, she's dead.
I ask for your guidance.
Oh.
Kazuma-sama.
I thought she was like, she did a murder again, but no, okay. Officers, we're playing as Susato now. Okay. Alright, well, did not expect this. Ryunosuke, who's that? We're back in here. Oh boy. Here I am again after 9 months. Supreme Court Judicature of Japan. I feel so nervous, but I must steel my nerves and find a way to compose myself. Ah, good, you're here. Doesn't do for a lawyer to be late. Oh, yes, good morning, sir. Hardly recognize you. You cut a fine figure, counsel. But you look as white as a sheet. Those wide eyes aren't doing you any favors, either. Oh, dear. The truth is, I'm so incredibly nervous, I feel utterly nauseated. I almost wish I'd never been born. Oh my god. Goodness, not the sort of thing a father hopes to hear from his daughter, I must say. Yujin Mikotoba, professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University. A man who, early in his life, traveled to Great Britain to study the latest advances in forensic medical science. And of course, my brilliant father. Excuse me. Who's this? Oh. Would I be correct in thinking you're to be my lawyer in court today? Yes, that's right, miss. Well, I want to thank you for agreeing to represent me. I swear on my life. It's a complete fabrication! The whole thing! Ray Mimbabi. Around the same year as my greatest friend. Though unusual for a woman at our time, she works at the University Research Laboratory, helping my father. And sadly, she's the defendant in today's trial. Accused of committing a truly awful murder. Oh. Are you feeling alright? Since you started talking, you seem, well, to have become a little flushed. Oh my, it's just that... You look so gallant and dashing. Sorry? When I fall into your intense gaze, it makes me feel rather bashful. Yeah? Does it? Yeah? Goodness, I don't think she knows. She hasn't realized who I am. It would seem my little plan for this trial is going to work. Oh, hold on. Hold on. Our little plan, huh? What do you mean, Professor Mikotoba? If even your best friend can't see through the disguise, I think we can relax. Disguise? Yes, I've never tried dressing this way before, of course, so I wasn't sure how convincing it would be. That does make you feel a little relieved, as you say, Father. Father? What? Is that you, Susato? I'm sorry, so sorry I didn't say anything sooner, Ray. It's just that... No! What are you doing? What's going on? What? That varsity uniform, that varsity cap, that varsity cape, that varsity badge. Look at you! Look for all the world just like a student at the Imperial Yuma University. A male student. I'm so glad you think so. It's all my preparations have been worthwhile. I woke at 4 this morning to make a start. But I don't understand. Why are you dressed like that? Well, you see... It was the only way. The only way she'd be permitted to the Supreme Court to take on your defense at this trial. Oh, yeah. In the first case, they were like... When Susato came in to give us evidence, he was like, what's this woman doing in this courtroom? She's only allowed to give you the evidence and go. She's not allowed in here. God. We went from racism back to sexism again. Love that. My defense? Never before in my life have I felt so frustrated having been born to this body. Courts in Japan are barred to women. We're not even allowed to set foot inside the courtroom, despite the fact that the laws of the land apply to all people, male and female alike. But women are forbidden. Just for today, I'll be leaving my true self at the courtroom door, so I can act as your lawyer. Oh, Susato, you go to such lengths for me? Of course, you're my greatest friend. I just worry that I shan't be the lawyer you deserve. Oh no, I have complete faith in you. Ray. It's so strange, though. I mean, you're such an accomplished judicial assistant already. Just because you're a woman. What a wretched reason. I mean, why shouldn't you be allowed in court? You're so gallant and dashing. Ray, please don't look at me like that, with those flushed cheeks and doting eyes. Yeah? Yeah? Huh? Oh, I'm sorry, it's just... You really do look so dashing. Yes, you mentioned that once or twice. You should be pleased. It means you look convincing as a man. I am pleased, I think. Sure helped to bolster my confidence today. Ray, you're imagining upon a brave face and all this, but I can see through it. I've noticed how your shoulders are slumped and how you're trembling ever so slightly. Susato, you do believe me, don't you? I didn't do it. I couldn't have. I mean, murder. Of course. You have nothing to worry about. Your conscience is perfectly clean. Isn't that right? Yes. Yes, it is. Perfectly clean. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind about your innocence, which is why I'll stand by you until the bitter end of this trial. Whatever happens, I'll always be on your side. Because that's what it means to be a defense lawyer. She's picking up all sorts of tricks from Ryunosuke. That means so much to me, Susato. Defendant! Counsel! Court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. Hey, at least I don't have to do British accents for the entire stream. You should go in at once, Ray. If you're late, the judge won't hesitate to pronounce you guilty. Oh. Stand aside! I don't think I've ever seen her run so fast. Well, Susato, you certainly surprised your father. Going such lengths to be admitted to the courtroom, with no prior experience of being a lawyer. There's simply no other way. That's all there is to it. But father, you haven't told her, have you? I mean, I'm right assuming that Ray doesn't know how it came to this. Yes, quite right. Kept that information from her. It would only worry her if she found out that no other lawyer would agree to take her case. Oh. RIP? I didn't want to burden her with that. And is it true? The reason why every other lawyer is refusing to take the case? Is it really because of who the victim was? Oh, because she's an English woman. Right. We should be making a move now, too. As you know, law isn't my field, but I'll do what I can to support my student. Thank you, Father. Oh boy. I'm Susato Mikotoba, a judicial assistant. 8 months ago, I accompanied a student of law on a study trip to Great Britain. But 2 months ago, due to unforeseen circumstances, I found myself back in Japan. How many times I wish that he were here, I wonder. Still, I've no choice now but to steel myself for the trial ahead. Oh yeah, so in case you weren't around for the previous game, she had to leave, like, right before the last case because her father was sick. So she wasn't around for the last case of the game. But her father seems fine, though, so... Wish me luck, Naruhodo-san. Oh boy. Yes, there's Ouchie. He's back. This court is now in session to hear the trial of Ray Membami. The prosecution is fully ready to proceed, Your Excellency. Defense counsel, are you ready? Yes, Your Excellency. We are ready. Ready? She's not used to being the one to say ready. Ah, yes, counsel. According to your registration details, your name is, Ryutaro Naruhodo. Is that correct? Yeah? Sorry? Oh yes, I had to come up with a suitable male name for you for this little venture. So I'm afraid to say I simply put down the first name that sprung to mind. Well, counsel? Yes, that's right. That's me. Yes, I'm Ryutaro. He was vowed to uphold the pride of the great Naruhodo clan. Ah. Seems Ryutaro may need to consider how better to uphold his manly act first and not overdo it. And those wild, wide eyes aren't doing any favors either. Just relax and listen. Naruhodo? A fresh face in this courtroom, if I'm not mistaken. But the name Naruhodo, would that perchance be? You made me think of Ryunosuke Naruhodo, currently in Britain as part of a study program. This is, his cousin! That's right. Ryutaro here has been studying the provinces, what was called to the capital for this trial. Yeah, the same eyes. I assure you, merits of law his knowledge rivals that of any of Tokyo's preeminent lawyers. Any of them! Tut, tut, tut. What a pitiful situation. Having been rejected by every lawyer in the capital, and accused us to call a country boy. How dare you? Susato is every bit as gallant and dashing as any of your Tokyo attorneys. I wonder if you're making fun of her. Her? Please be careful, Ray. What an unrefined tomboy we have here. But I wonder, is your gallant and dashing lawyer up to the challenge of defending you? His wide, skittish eyes very much suggest that he is not. I'm so nervous. If I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand what Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, eyes are want to flit. My god, she's doomed. The case to be heard of this day is a matter of great significance to our national interests. In fact, it would be reasonable to assume the outcome of this trial may well affect the very future of our empire. Just like the trial 9 months ago. And yet for pursuing such importance, we have this unknown yokel by the dock. Dear me.
Perhaps this would be an appropriate moment for me to assess the defense, to determine whether you're sufficiently competent to practice in this courtroom.
9 months ago, when a certain other Naruhodo stood where you're standing now, the same judge tested him as well. And even though he was just a student at the time, not even of law, he passed the test with flying colors. For a trained and experienced judicial assistant like you, this will be easy.
So, counsel, do you consent to answering some simple questions?
No. Alright, it's time to prove myself. She slaps herself straight too. Yes, Your Excellency, but please do make them simple.
Very well. To start with, we will state the name of the victim.
Whew, that's simple. I couldn't forget that if I tried.
What's the matter?
I'm standing in his shoes. I'm starting to understand something else Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, minds are to blank. It's not surprising, really. It's your first time in this position and in that guise. Even a bright spark like you is bound to flicker and falter a little under the circumstances. Oh dear, this is a dismal failure. Don't fret. You'll use the knowledge you've gained as a judicial assistant to overcome the problem. Of course, the court record. Yes, the answer will be amongst all the key information about the case in the court record. That's right. This is E to open the court record. They need to flip to the people section with E. Don't take too long over it. His Excellency is watching you closely. Alright, check the court record with E. I don't know what that means, but I'll check it. Let's see. Alright, we don't get an armband to use as evidence. People. Giselle Brett. Yup.
What's the name of the victim in this case?
Is it the prosecuting lawyer? Is it my father? Or is it the victim? It's not even like variations of a wrong name. It's just other people.
Yes!
Oh, she did the thing. The name of the victim who lost life in this case is Miss Giselle Brett. Giselle Brett. A name that will never be forgotten in the courtrooms of our country, I'm sure.
Correct. Being a member of our Empire's judiciary, you'll be well aware of the significance of that name. So, let me pose another simple question. As you know, Miss Brett was a visiting student for the Empire of Great Britain. Why, then, is her name indelibly associated with her own empire's judicial history?
Obviously, you won't have forgotten that case from 9 months ago. Though it's proving hard to recall the finer points, everything you need is included in the court record. Obviously, I still remember. That was the start of everything. Giselle Brett, behind the woman student persona, was the face of... This is the skin of a killer. Face of Queen Victoria.
Yes!
9 months ago, Visiting Professor of Medicine at the Imperial University was killed. And the culprit was Giselle Brett. Yes, she was a killer. At the time, our country just signed a new treaty with the Empire of Great Britain. And it was in the midst of this delicate diplomatic situation the incident occurred. An Englishman, Dr. John H. Wilson, was shot dead. By the way, if you also missed it, Sherlock Holmes was a character, and this Wilson is in fact, or was in fact, Sherlock Holmes' partner. It was revealed. believe he was an associate of yours, Professor Mikotoba. Associate of Professor Mikotoba? I don't know who's talking here. There's no name. Yes, I was indebted to the man. He's been my mentor while I went to London to study forensic medicine. Indeed, it was I who invited him here to Japan as a visiting professor at the university. Naturally, the murder of an Englishman on our soil was a matter the government wished to resolve rapidly.
Indeed it was, which is why a secret trial was conducted here at the Supreme Court. A student of the Imperial University was arrested on suspicion of murder. A second-year English language student by the name of Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
Sir, not appearing in this game.
Help his best friend, student lawyer, the accused, conduct his own defense.
Exposed the despicable crime committed by Mr. Zalebret.
Miss Brett eventually admitted to a crime. However, when questioned about the motive that drove her to take Dr. Wilson's life, she gave no satisfactory answer before the trial reached its conclusion.
Immediately after the trial, the British government brought consular jurisdiction into play. We were unable to sentence Miss Brett according to our empire's laws. It was decided she would be removed to Shanghai, China instead. Why Shanghai?
There's a British consular court there. Correct. I oversaw the negotiations personally. The day of her transfer to Shanghai was finally settled upon only last week. While I reminded of our empire's obligations were to see the woman safely on board a steamship.
She was convicted of murder, but it took 9 months for her to actually be sent to the consular court? Jeez. And yet, the very day before her departure, the Englishwoman was killed! Only the day before?
That will do. I'm satisfied the counsel for defense is sufficiently capable of representing the defendant.
Oh! Thank you, Your Excellency. Over the first hurdle.
Now, a summary of the incident, if you please. Prosecutor Auchi?
As is your wish, Your Excellency. The repugnant crime took place on 11th August in broad daylight. On the outskirts of the Imperial capital, under a bright blue sky, at a secluded bathing spot by the sea. Crab. It's occurred inside a small beach hut, erected for bathers to rest or change their clothes. The cause of death was a single stab wound to the posterior abdomen that pierced the victim's lung, an injury which proved fatal. There were 2 persons alone together in the beach hut at the time of the victim's death. Miss Brett in her bathing attire, and the accused, Ray Membami. Accordingly, there could be no doubt of the accused's guilt, especially when you consider she had a powerful motive. The police arrived rapidly at the scene and promptly arrested the young lady. Oh boy.
Well, that extraordinary description of events leaves me somewhat lost for words, I must say.
That's certainly true. The prosecution's summary was full of words that raise an awful lot of questions. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about... I'm gonna ask about the motive. They're clearly exaggerating. Powerful motive is a blatant overstatement. Tut tut, as the yokel boy using long words he doesn't fully understand. I beg your pardon? No matter, let us put this to the accused, shall we? Membami-san, you're a research assistant at the Imperial Yuma University, I believe. Yes, I am. I'm working with Professor Mikotoba in his laboratory at the moment. I can confirm that. The defendant is an excellent assistant of a strong sense of responsibility. Sexism and classism? Oh yeah, we love that. Fascinating to hear. Now another question. Prior to your work with Professor Mikotoba, whose research were you assisting then? Oh, I was studying under Dr. John H. Wilson.
Dr. Wilson? The visiting English professor who was murdered by Miss Brett 9 months ago?
The accused had a deep-seated respect for a former mentor, Dr. Wilson. Is that not true? Yes, Dr. Wilson was a wonderful man.
Interesting. Then tell the court what deep-seated feelings you had towards the Englishwoman who killed him.
Well, obviously I was filled with hatred for what she'd done. A powerful hatred. Oh no, Ray! Be careful of what you're saying!
The motive was revenge. Plain and simple, Your Excellency.
Well, it was clearly a trap all along. How wicked of him to use Ray's undying respect for a former mentor against her like that. Must find out more details. Something we can use to bolster our defense. Okay, being alone together. Mbami-san. Yes? What is it? Naruto-san. I'm really starting to wish we'd made my alias Ryutaro Sasato. Please tell the court why exactly you're present at the bathing spot with the victim in the first place. And why you were alone with her. Oh, well, no, that's not true. I wasn't like that at all. There were other people present. The detective was guarding Miss Brett for starters. I just asked to accompany Miss Brett as a companion, that's all.
But let us be clear. At the moment of her death, you were alone together with the victim in the hut. You and no one else. The truth is, there is only one reason why this young woman accompanied Miss Brett on her bathing sojourn. It was the accused's last chance to take the victim's life.
No.
Because, as we know, the following day would see Miss Brett extradited to the British authorities in Shanghai. And the accused would never have an opportunity to dispatch her again.
Wow. At least we don't have like a 6-person jury in front of them that has the fires or anything. It's just like normal. It's weird going back to this, actually. Kindly refrain from conjecture, counsel. The prosecution counsel seems to enjoy using provocative tricks like that. But for now, at least, we need to assemble more facts. Try not to let him goad you. Oh dear. This is really terrifying. But Father's right. We need more information.
The bathing spot.
If I may, Prosecutor Ouchie?
What do you want, you fresh-faced young yokel student?
I wonder, could you explain, please? You mentioned a bathing spot.
Ha! My apologies. Clearly my modernity is confused this poor country bumpkin's simple mind. Bathing spots are the very latest trend in health practices from the West. We are told that bathing in the water of the ocean is curative, therapeutic, and excellent for the skins.
No, that's not what I meant. I was referring to the fact that Miss Brett had, to all intents and purposes, been found guilty of murder. Why would a known criminal have been relaxing by the sea?
For old time's sake, I believe.
Sorry?
Miss Brett was to depart for Shanghai the following day. Her final wish, as it were, to enjoy a day at our country's wonderful coast. And the British Embassy put extreme pressure on our government to comply.
But on what grounds would we agree to such a request?
Because, as usual, our government isn't able to stand up to foreign powers. Now, as a diplomacy, it seems we don't even have the courage to decline the whims of a known criminal. Don't look at me, Professor. It was the government who granted permission, not I.
Says the guy that was bowing down to the lady in the trial.
In any case, it was decided with a dedicated detective on duty, nothing could go wrong.
But in fact, a murder took place.
I said don't look at me. It was that young student girl who did it, not I.
No one has proved that yet. Wouldn't provoke the man if you don't need to.
I believe...
Oh, don't want to insult the judge with that, sorry.
Believe we have a clear picture of the incident now.
Despite her guilt being determined 9 months ago, Miss Brett managed to avoid incarceration, instead continuing her research work at the university. Obviously, over that period, she and Ray would have encountered each other on a number of occasions. Seeing the murder for the mentor for whom he showed such great respect enjoying such undeserved liberty. Yes, even if it's only temporary until Miss Brett's extradition to Shanghai. You can hardly blame Ray for her feelings of anger and resentment. Poor Ray.
So, Your Excellency, if you'd be so kind as to peruse this exhibit, a photographic print that shows the scene of the crime immediately following the grim incident. Yes, thank you, Counsel.
A tragic image. That's her bathing attire? Ouchie said that she was in her bathing attire when this happened. I mean, I guess that's her normal dress up there in the upper right. I guess? I don't know. As you can clearly see, there's nowhere within the hut that anyone else could have hidden.
The court will accept this photographic print as evidence.
Boy.
As I understand it, then, the victim and the defendant were alone inside the beach hut at the time. This is deeply troubling, I must say. The finger of guilt points firmly at the defendant.
Well, Your Excellency, naturally a prosecution has much more to its case. We intend to prove the accused appalling actions beyond all possible contention. To that end, I can confirm that we have multiple witnesses to the crime. And conclusive evidence. Witnesses? But who? One of whom, I might add, is a highly respected police detective. I assure you, the testimony of these witnesses will leave no room for doubt. Oh boy.
Very well then, Counsel. Bring forth your witnesses.
Taketsuchi Ouchi, I've been waiting for this moment. Sorry? Oh yes, I haven't forgotten. That trial 9 months ago, here in this very courthouse. When that irreverent little student boy utterly humiliated me. Ah! Ryunosuke Naruhodo! What? Yes. This insult to the Ouchi family name will never be forgotten.
You've become conceited with age, Counsel. But the old will stand aside and make way for the new.
Oh, here we go.
It's the way of the world. May you never forget that.
Okay, to be fair, the hair part was not Ryunosuke. Strike the head of a samurai whose top knot has been cut, and the bell of cultural enlightenment tolls. Yes, on that fateful day, my former self died. Start of your own Meiji Revolution. Are you modernizing as well, Counsel? Silence! Since I swore revenge back then, there's been a minor miracle atop my head. Observe the ouchie growth. You see the seed of hope sprouting forth from the barren expanse on my crown? I think that tiny growth is trying to tell me something. I'm afraid I can't really see. Where's the hope exactly? I said silence! Today I face another yokel student of the Naruhodo clan. Well, I will vanquish you. My victory will be fertilizer for the seed of hope atop my head. You have been warned. With that, the prosecution calls the witnesses to the stand.
Looks like the stakes are high on both sides in this trial. Prosecution and defense each has much to lose.
A haircut is hardly comparable to Ray's life. Oh, we know both of these people. Witnesses, please state your names and occupations for the court.
Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Imperial Police Bureau. I'm in disguise, obviously, so I can go undetected. And I am, well, the next big thing in books. An author renowned throughout the capital, in fact. Yes. Soon to be sold out, the satirical I Am a Cat, sensational success by Soseki Natsume.
Oh, he's got a guy with him. Is that guy ancestor of the Black Quill guy? Yep, believe that's it. Oh my goodness.
Struggling student of the provinces, please. You need be in awe of me.
I needn't?
It's only natural you'd feel nervous in my presence, but all of you, please relax. Call me Soseki, even.
Yes. What on earth is Soseki-san doing here?
Tread carefully, Susato. That author fellow knows you from your time in London, doesn't he? If he exposes you for who you really are, this will be over before it's begun.
Yes, of course. I know. I presume Soseki-san won't have forgotten about me. I can certainly never forget him. Although he does seem to have changed somewhat in the 6 months or so that's been since I last saw him. And as for Inspector Hosonaga, that amazing outfit is hard to believe. Do I have something on my face? Well, your glasses for one, although they don't seem to be helping you see. Thank goodness he hasn't recognized me either. Ah, I suppose it's the disguise, is it? I thought that appearing here in the clothes I was wearing all the time would make for a more faithful testimony. Seki says only care about the dead, make sure to mention that Seki hated his time in England. I don't know if you saw that case, Bonnie, but yes, he went on about it. The accursed lodgings, his cursed time, he hated it. But yes, he did very much talk about it. Oh, you did see it, okay. It is my guiding principle to carry out all testimonies flawlessly.
Well, I can appreciate why an Imperial Police Bureau detective might have been present. What business did a writer such as yourself have big at the scene, Soseki-san?
Well, you see, I had been asked that day to give a lecture, on the morning of the incident, in the Imperial Yuma University's Grand Lecture Hall, no less. At Yuma University? After the lecture, I had a very pleasant conversation with a researcher from the Medical Science Department. The professor over there, in fact. Professor Mikotoba? Yes, that's right. It was arranged by one of the newspapers. They want some story or other about two former students who'd studied in Great Britain. Of course, being a renowned author, the press never leave me alone. They secretly spy, snapshot, scribble stories, and scupper my privacy. As you can see, the conversation was written up in this newspaper here. Read at your leisure, my provincial struggling student friend. I have plenty of copies. Thank you very much. You practically threw that paper at me. Oh boy. Hold on. Anyway, following my interview with the professor, hold on, I need to check this. In the last case of the first game, the newspaper came in incredibly handy. Like, it had a vital piece of evidence, but I guess... Oh, right. I was about to say, how do you have the cap, but no. He's about to chop his throat! The lady in question appeared and made a very unexpected announcement. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. Those were her words. As I explained before, Miss Brett was never taken into custody. She continued to work in my laboratory under strict surveillance, of course. At which utterance, the university immediately contacted the government to seek guidance. And the response was, permit Miss Brett to go as long as a detective accompanies her. That detective, I'm at liberty to divulge, was me, Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga. Thereby the entire party departed cordially for the seaside, it seems. It was extremely challenging to clear out the other members of the public from the vicinity of the beach. You had to clear out the beach for that? But fortunately, I'm at peak physical fitness at the moment, so I was able to carry out my duty flawlessly. I still don't know why you're coughing up blood, but I don't know if that's... Oh my, Inspector, you... Well, you do have something on your face now. Ah, how unsightly. I do apologize. Does that mean you went to the beach too, Father? No. Fortunately, I had work to finish off. But unfortunately, of course, it meant that as my assistant, Ray was invited to take my place. Of course, being a renowned author, I didn't like to decline the invitation. Ah, but if only I had! I've never seen that awful sight! Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret!
Very well. I must now ask you to present your formal testimony to the court. You will give an account of all that you witnessed on your impromptu excursion to the coast.
Of course, Your Excellency. Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret, I am. On the day of the incident, I was ordered on a special surveillance assignment in this disguise. Does Blackpool also have illness? No, it's just... Hosanaga's had that the entire... Like, ever since the very first time, he's just had that cough. For some reason. On the day of the incident, I was ordered a special surveillance assignment in this disguise. I just managed to catch that crab when I suddenly heard a caterwaul from behind me. I ran to the beach hut at once, where I found the pair in question. Yes! That young girl was astride the Englishwoman, dagger in hand, as she stabbed wildly. I saw blood on the blade. Proved to me that she'd stabbed the victim multiple times. No, she didn't. Multiple times, you liar, Langson.
Indeed. It does appear from this testimony of witnesses here present saw it.
You lying liar. A single wound.
The very moment of this heinous crime.
What? Now, if you will recall, I promised evidence as well. What phrase did I use again? Ah, yes, that was it. Conclusive evidence.
What have you there, Counsel? A so-called fountain pen, is it?
Correct, Your Excellency. I found it at the scene whilst examining the body. Appears that in her dying moments, with her final ounce of strength, the victim clutched a piece of evidence that would positively identify her killer. What? Your Excellency, if you would cast your eyes over the photographic print of the crime scene once more.
Ah, goodness me. Yes, the victim's clearly grasping something quite deliberately there in her hand.
That's right, the fountain pen. And if you would kindly examine the pen, Your Excellency.
Ah! The owner's initials have been engraved in the ebonite barrel. R.M. Ray Membami. The initials of the defendant.
No! Oh, yep. That's gotta hurt her back and Ryunosuke's as well.
This fountain pen will be admitted immediately as critical evidence.
So, have I omitted anything? Decisive testimony and conclusive evidence. There's a bright blue sky outside the courthouse today. Perfect weather to ascribe guilt, I feel. I don't understand. The prosecutor Ouchie of 9 months ago had none of this man's poise.
Counsel to the defense, you may begin your cross-examination now. Naruhodo-san!
Naruhodo. That means... Oh! Yes, me!
Is there another Naruhodo in my courtroom?
Actually, there isn't even a single Naruhodo in your courtroom.
Cousin Ryutaro, pull yourself together, please.
Alright, I've seen this countless times as a judicial assistant. Finding consistencies in the witness testimonies to prove that they're lying somehow. That's all there is to it. That's how a real lawyer would handle cross-examination. So let's see what I can do. Alright, well, let's immediately go to Hosonaga being a lying McLiar face. Okay, hold on. I do have to hear this, though.
Hold it!
You're describing the victim's scream, presumably, Soseki-san.
In more literary terms, you might say it was a scream that could have pierced the heavens.
Kya! Or the like. Of course, that's just a metaphor. We renowned authors are wont to describing things so. Soseki-san wasn't at all like this in England. Anyway, spun around to the noise, and the beach hut immediately fell under my gaze. Yes, the beach hut. The area is popular with government ministers. Many of seaside retreats there for rest and recuperation. I wanted to hear about the crab! Locals are prohibited from entering the area, so it's always very quiet. The beach hut is a simple structure, erected as a place for people to change or take refuge from the sun. I want to hear about the crab, though! Although the Englishwoman commandeered the hut for herself. Which meant that I was forced to change into my swimwear on the sand. I imagine that was rather embarrassing for you. Well, anyway, I tossed the crab aside. You tossed the crab and headed for the beach hut at a run. Or, in more literary terms, I decrabbed and beat a lava-wise. Decrabbed. I was wondering what... Never mind. Well, that's not so true.
Objection!
She did the thing. The accusatory cry just rolled from deep inside me. I think I finally understand. Every time Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san have stood here at this bench, the stakes have been very, very high indeed. What's the meaning of that menacing pose, Counsel? I'd like the witness to clarify something for me. Who? What? Where? When? How? Not you, Sasaki-san. Queries Director Inspector Hosonaga. That me? Your statement just now said the victim was stabbed multiple times. Yes, that's right. As I said when I entered the hut, the defendant was already standing over the victim, bloody knife in hand, like a murderous demon. And yet, that cannot be. What?
Get to the point, please, counsel.
The post-mortem report clearly states that the victim was stabbed one time only.
Ah!
In other words, Inspector Hosanaga's testimony is clearly flawed. And Sasaki-san, me? You claim to have seen Membami-san in the throes of stabbing the victim. Yes, I did. Wildly. But both you and the inspector confirmed the same point. There's already blood on the knife that you saw the defendant holding. Yes, and? It's quite simple. We know the murder weapon was used to stab the victim only once. Therefore, there's no way there could have been blood on the knife if that single stabbing hadn't already occurred.
Ah, true! Then what exactly is your contention, counsel? Ever going to tell us?
Yes, Your Excellency. There's only one logical conclusion. But Sasaki-san, in fact, saw was not the moment the defendant stabbed the victim at all, but the moment the defendant, in fact, withdrew the blade from the victim's body. That can't be! Excellent work, Sasada. You explode them without objection and then proceed to pull them apart systematically.
Objection!
Well, this takes me back. Yes, I seem to remember your cousin staged a scene much like this in that trial 9 months ago. A half-witted child with a half-baked objection attempting to steal the show. You're right. There were certainly similarities. Except that so-called half-witted child managed to outwit the prosecution, who had only half a head of hair. Slander! My head is quite adequately dressed. In any case, all this talk of stabbing with drawing multiple wounds makes not a jot of difference. What? Why not? Engage your brain, young man. When the accused first plunged a deadly weapon into the victim, that was the fatal blow. And it was that moment, just as she had withdrawn the blade ready for her next strike without witnesses saw. And it was already tinted with blood because the accused already stabbed the victim. All you have successfully shown with your little display is that the mustached author is prone to moments of extravagance. Yeah, that didn't exactly help.
I'm in agreement with the prosecution. The defendant was seen wielding the blade at all. That's sufficient grounds for actions to be viewed with suspicion.
But if she was withdrawing the blade, then we are back where we started. Sorry? Consider this, young Yoko boy. If the student girl is innocent as you claim, then why would she have pulled the blade from the victim? And with a demon's cold-blooded composure, too. The prosecution demands an explanation, and it better be good. Why did Ray pull out the knife? Ah, yes, going for the jugular. What's Father mean by that?
Let the court hear your answer then, counsel.
The truth is, I don't really know. I have to come with a plausible reason here, or we don't have a case. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife blade out of the victim's body was surely so she could hide the knife, stab her again, save her life. I'm going to say save her life, or save her life is the only thing that doesn't incriminate her a lot, but realistically, it doesn't make sense, but yes, save is probably the right option here. According to the post-mortem report, the victim's death was not instant. That's correct. It's thought she would have remained conscious for a short while after sustaining the injury. Indeed, giving her the time to take hold of this piece of evidence, it clearly indicates her killer. Now, a lot of people are supposed to leave the knife in. Yeah. I wonder if this game will point that out, though. The point is, Being a medical research assistant, Mbambi-san was compelled to act in face of the wounded victim. Instinctively, she pulled the blade in an attempt to save Miss Brett's life. Did you hear that, Your Excellency? It seems the best we can expect of this young yokel.
Indeed.
Is it just me, or is suddenly feel much colder in here? Maybe they know. Your Excellency, if I may?
Speak, witness.
I would like another opportunity to testify. In respect to the slipshod assertion just put forward by the local defense counsel, I mean... Oh, no. Slipshod? An excellent idea, Inspector. Our young yokel hopefully has a modicum of knowledge when it comes to the law, it seems. But in matters of medicine, he appears to possess not one iota of common sense. Okay, so the game is pointing that out. The game is very much pointing it out.
Testify again before the court on the subject of the defense counsel's assertion.
Yes, sir. I'll do so flawlessly. Saseki looks... Oh. Well, he looked like he would burst into tears at the drop of a hat. Pulling a blade from the wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding. That's basic knowledge that any medical research assistant with an ounce of sense ought to know. In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Let's not forget the young student did have a motive for killing the victim. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago, Dr. Wilson, was the defendant's highly respected mentor. Yeah. Is what you just said true, Inspector? Could pulling a knife from a wound really cause the wound to bleed heavily? Yes, yet the weapon itself has a stopper in the wound that prevents excessive blood loss. Until a doctor is ready to provide proper treatment, that stopper shouldn't be removed. Oh, I see. Ha! This is why yokels should stay on the farm! Even a quack for some obscure mountain village would have such basic knowledge. Anyone who's ever given someone a little poke with a knife and pulled it out again knows it. Oh, well, I've never stabbed anyone, you see, or pulled a blade out of a wound, so... Of course you haven't. I didn't bring you up to behave like a bandit. Father, is it true, what they're telling me? Yes, it's basic remedial knowledge for medics. Ray would have been well aware of it. If she were to claim ignorance of such fundamentals, that would prove fatal in many ways. But then, how would Ray have done it? Did she pull out the knife in full knowledge that would be fatal for Miss Brett? I don't know. Ray never once mentioned anything about the knife to me. Seems almost impossible to believe, but... Could my friend actually have?
Susato!
Yes?
Pull yourself together. We mustn't lose sight of why we're here.
Ah!
Counsel, it's time for a cross-examination.
We're cross-examining the inspector dunking on us. Sure. Yes, Your Excellency.
However, I must warn you that if your cross-examination fails to identify any issue with the established facts, I'll move to education immediately afterwards.
I understand. Leaving your clients and fighting for their cause until the bitter end. I knew it'd be hard, but I had no idea it'd be this hard. Oh, boy.
Hold it!
You say doing it without thinking could be a problem. Does that mean that if you use due care and attention, it would be alright? I wouldn't have thought this needs spelling out, really, but... The blade is like a stopper in the wound. Remove it and a serious hemorrhage will occur. In other words, a medic would need to be present before any attempt was made to withdraw the blade. Doing it without thinking would be madness. You just can't do it. Oh, well, thank you for such a thorough explanation. You see, Counsel, when you act without thinking, the result is a bloodbath.
Back to the witness testimony, please.
Hold it!
In that case, there's an obvious explanation here. Which is... Clearly, the defendant, Ray Mbambi-san, does not possess an ounce of sense. That's not it. That's not... That's not the defense you think it is! What do you think about that, Professor Mikotoba? I'm not sure you should be labeling your best friend as lacking in common sense. Well, I thought it would be better than labeling her as a murderer. I don't know, young people today. If that's friendship, I don't understand it.
Careful, Counsel. A lack of common sense can be a very dangerous thing.
Oh dear, that recoiled me rather badly.
That's life, I'm afraid. A lesson everybody must learn.
Hopefully you can see now this is really basic medical knowledge. Being involved in medical research, Membami-san would have certainly have been aware of it.
Hold it!
But the defendant suddenly encounters a machine lying on the ground, bleeding to death. This could have shocked her delicate sensibilities, causing her to remove the blade inadvertently. I really don't think inadvertent actions can explain this. The woman's a medical research assistant. I can't imagine she would behave so irrationally. Uh-oh, but irrational behavior is a woman's prerogative, isn't it? Oh dear. You have a lot to learn about women. Only a small-minded man can have such bigoted views. Oh dear, perhaps I'm letting my male persona take a hold a little too much. Well, have I managed to convey the basics now? Oh my god, that's such a condescending look. Hosonaga, please. That should cover the medical side of the argument. Okay.
Hold it!
Whatever the motive, it just isn't in Membami-san's nature to do something so awful. But she had both motive and opportunity. That's very hard to argue against. But you don't know the defendant.
Objection!
Oh my god. And you, counsel, do not appear to know the law. Yes, evidence is the only way to convince the court of your argument, not feelings. With this fledgling to defend her, I'd almost say I pity the accused. So do I.
Inspector, you will reiterate your point about the defendant's motive, please.
Ah, yes. Miss Brett was in many ways a sworn enemy of Membami-san. And let's press this one. We don't have a lot to go on here. Unless we examine the... Oh, we can't examine the pen. We can't examine the pen. I thought I'd be able to. I guess all we can do is press this statement.
Hold it!
Well, yes, that's true. Dr. Wilson recognized Membami-san's talent and offered her the position of assistant despite her being a woman. She's extremely grateful to him. Yes, the Englishman appears to have been a very broad-minded individual. Dr. Wilson had no time for outdated traditions. He met with opposition, of course, but he believed firmly in Membami-san's abilities. Clearly, the defendant was in the man's debt, which only serves to prove my point. This is hopeless. I can't find a single crack in his testimony anywhere. If I knew that withdrawing the knife from the wound would threaten Miss Brett's life further, I just can't think of any way to explain why she did it. Susato, it's times like this when it's especially important to remember the fundamentals. The fundamentals? Evidence is what counts in the courtroom, isn't it? Of course, but I've been through the court record dozens of times already. I think perhaps you're forgetting something, though. You need to take the evidence at face value. You can and must examine it in greater detail, too. Well, this is your first time playing the role of lawyer in the courtroom, so if you need reminding of the rudiments, you need only ask. I'll do my very best to help. Examine the evidence in the court record. That's an idea, certainly. What should I do? Hold on. Let's examine this more. Okay. Strain mouse is pupil constriction observed in the victim in both eyes. I don't know if we can use that for anything. Single deep stab from behind, piercing lung, resulting in fatal hemorrhage. Death would have occurred within minutes. Examine this more. I don't know. Who is this man? Who's this cat? Come to think of it, Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-sama are always turning evidence over and over in their hands. I just need to examine things in great detail of space. Ah, by the look in your eyes, see it's coming back to you. Go through the court record again and have a thorough look at everything. May just find a clue. Yes, I'll do it straight away. Okay. Okay. Let's examine. Well, death will occur within minutes, anyway. It's a stretch, but I could use the postmortem report here. Death will occur within minutes. So does it really matter whether or not she pulled it out? I guess I'll present the post-mortem report. It's the only thing I can think of. Oh boy.
Objection!
Nope. Yep. I don't... God. I've examined it, though. Meiosis, pupil constriction. I don't think that's going to help me anywhere. Examining this doesn't really help much either. God. I don't know. Oh, now I can examine this. Oh my god. Ah. How? Oh man. The game tricked me. Okay, let's examine the newspaper more. Raucous England returnees tell all. This is the interview of you and Saseki-san, isn't it, Father? Listen, though, it was quite an exchange. Yes, he became a little over-animated when he was talking about his time in England. The photographer managed to capture this moment his hand karate chopped me on the neck. I do hope you weren't hurt. It's on this side. This is a newspaper from Saseki-san. There's an important article on the back page as well. Exclusive deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. From Yume's Medical Research... Father, isn't that your lab? What the... Let me see that. The poison's been stolen. This morning's paper that Saseki-san gave us. Are you saying... you didn't know? As embarrassing as that is for the head of the laboratory, I didn't. Not heard any such thing. Where could the reporter have gleaned this information? Come to think of it... there's no article mentioning this story in our paper this morning, was there? It's a highly toxic poison been working on the strictest confidence. I put Ray in charge of the project. Ray? She was managing it? What's written here is true. It means that she tried to hide the theft from me. Moreover, the details were leaked somehow. I don't believe it. You need to read this article very carefully. Okay. Now let's read the poison article. Even the smallest bite in the body, either through the mouth or via a wound from a poison-laced blade, would prove fatal in minutes. Okay, so she was poisoned because of the pupils being contracted. So, like, but how does that help us? What? Obviously, the point about meiosis will come up, but I don't think it's gonna help us right now, like immediately. I don't. I'm missing something, obviously. But what? What am I missing? Oh, I can examine the pen now too. God dang it. The game hid all this from me until it did the tutorial. I hate that. Why? If we take off the pen's lid... Yep, that sure is a pen. There's some sort of emblem here, look. But it isn't a Yume University one. Must belong to some other organization, I suppose. Business of some kind. That would seem to imply that the pen doesn't in fact belong to Ray. Okay, but that also doesn't immediately help us. Now let's unscrew the barrel, shall we? Why are we doing this? Oh! This must be the little reservoir that holds the ink. Yes, you fill it by drawing ink from a bottle up through the nib. Something wrong, Father? Just that there doesn't actually appear to be any ink in there, that's all. Oh yes, you're right. It's pretty much empty. Well, it could be on the verge of running out, I suppose. Is that... Don't tell me the poison was in there. Was the poison in here, and then she tried to stab Ray? Oh my god, what? But again, none of this helps us immediately. I don't... Examine it more. Can't do anything else about it. Oh my god. I don't... I have stuff that'll help us later. I don't... What? I would... Why? Either I'm the blindest man in the world... Is there really nothing else I can get on this? What about the bicycle man? What are all the drinks and stuff? Okay. Ugh. Like, this is the statement that I have to present something for. Do I present this? Because of the poison? I guess.
Objection!
Oh! Hey! That worked. No, there is one possibility. One very good reason why the defendant might have decided to withdraw the knife from the victim's wound. What? Ha! The yokel not only had some poor grasp for the law, but is also a poor loser! Tell us then, what possibility do you think you've identified? It's here. This newspaper article. An article about a deadly poison having been stolen from a laboratory at the Imperial Humane University. The victim perished from a stab wound. Poison has no relevance in this case. But...
Prosecutor Ouchie, you will let the defense speak.
But a newspaper article? The court cannot rely on this kind of hearsay these wretched publications carry.
Counsel for the defense. I'm going to need some tangible basis for your claim. You'll indicate to the court precisely what part of the newspaper article mentioned affirms your assertion.
Your Excellency! Yes, of course. Thank you. I would never have done something of further endanger Miss Brett's life without just cause. The reason I had to pull the knife from the victim's body is explained in the article where it says... deadly in tiny quantities. The article reveals the following property about the poison in question. When the toxin enters the body and a knife laced with the poison, it's rapidly absorbed and causes death in minutes. Are you suggesting? If the knife used to attack Miss Brett was laced with this very poison, it would explain why the defendant, Mbami-san, would have withdrawn the blade as soon as possible. Yes, the truth is... it was him to stop the poison from entering the victim's body. What? This is a reach. This is complete utter nonsense. Not at all. The defendant withdrew the knife blade from the victim's body not to accelerate the woman's demise, but to save her life. The prosecution cannot deny the possibility. Have you not read the post-mortem report? The cause of death was hemorrhage. The word poison appears nowhere in the document. Well, that's... it's because by acting quickly to remove the blade, the defendant prevented the poison from taking hold. Objection! Oh, please, this is clearly desperation. The weasel's last breaking of wind. Poison has nothing whatsoever to do with this case, as I believe the defense is well aware. We have no proof that the information in this wretched newspaper article is at all reliable anyway. In that situation, what the student should have done is wait for medical assistance to arrive. But instead, you claimed she suspected poisoning and took the potentially lethal decision to remove the blade. She must have had a strong reason for her suspicions then, or the argument makes no sense. Exactly! Well put, Inspector! On what grounds did she do it, yokel? I did raise suspect the stolen poison was involved. If you want grounds, I'll give you grounds. What? You can't possibly.
From your expression, counsel, it would appear that those are not empty words. But naturally, as you stand in this courtroom as a lawyer, you must be aware that words alone, empty or not, are of no value in our modern justice system. The court demands evidence.
Yes, Your Excellency. I'm well aware of that. I've seen it many times, from my place at his side, the Old Bailey.
In that case, counsel, you will present the proof to the court now. Evidence demonstrates a clear link between this case and the poisoned newspaper article.
Now's the post-mortem report part.
Take that!
I'd ask the court to refer to the notes section of the post-mortem report, which reads, extreme meiosis, pupil constriction, was observed in the victim. Ah. Clearly, being a yokel with no knowledge of forensic science, I have no idea, so please do tell me. Presumably, the fact that this condition of the victim was noted in the post-mortem report means that's an unusual symptom of death. Well... under normal circumstances, the pupils dilate when someone dies. If there's extreme constriction instead, that's most certainly unusual, yes. What are you doing, you yokel detective? Oh my god. In the newspaper article, there's following information about the stolen poison. Onset of symptoms occur in minutes, ending with acute contraction of the pupils prior to death. What? The defendant, upon seeing the victim stabbed in the back, happened to notice that the pupils of Miss Brett's eyes had constricted severely. Yes, as a medical research assistant, she would have suspected poison immediately, without doubt. Prosecutor Ouchie, I think you'll agree, this is very compelling evidence. You. Yokel student, yokel professor! Oh my god. This guy really thinks of himself that highly, huh? Everyone else is stupider than him.
I believe the defense has expertly demonstrated a credible reason for the defendant's actions.
No.
Yujin Mikotoba.
Yes, Sir Excellency.
I believe you are best placed here to confirm or deny the veracity of the defense counsel's argument. You will tell the court the truth about the details reported in this newspaper, please.
It pains me to have to admit it, but I'm afraid I don't know.
You don't know?
The toxin was kept under lock and key in my laboratory, certainly, but I was unaware of any theft.
You mean to tell the court reports of this theft are unfounded?
No, Your Excellency. Without returning to the laboratory to investigate myself, I couldn't say. Listen to the bumbling academic! Unaware of the theft of secret state research from his own workplace until he reached him in the newspaper! I take full responsibility for the incompetence of my supervision. Father... A pitiful situation for a university professor! You should have more control over your students, rather than allowing them off on killing sprees! That's totally unfounded! Who? Whomst? Oh. Ray. Hi. Please don't incriminate yourself. No, this is Professor... No, this is Professor Mikotoba's fault. It's all my fault. Ray!
Mbami-san, you stand accused here. Outbursts like this will not be tolerated.
But it was me. I was the one who noticed that the poison we were developing had been stolen that day.
What?
So you knew. I've been placed in charge of overseeing the project. It was the day the professor and Sasaki-san were interviewed together for the newspaper. That's why I noticed that some of the poison was missing. Just a tiny amount it was. Why didn't you let me know immediately? I was scared. The whole project was supposed to be confidential, but some of the toxin had somehow been taken. So I decided to try to get it back before anyone else found out. Because I had a very good idea who the thief was. The thief? You don't mean... Yes, of course. It was that dainty Englishwoman.
Miss Giselle Brett.
That's why I decided to join the little group of people going down the seaside. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable. I knew it was you who stole the poison. Well now, whatever do you mean? And then... she suddenly got to her feet. Her falling to her knees in front of me and then collapsing on the floor. That's when I saw the knife in her back. I couldn't understand what just happened. And then, a moment later, I was seized with fear. The pupils of her eyes had shrunk to tiny pinpoints. I don't believe it.
In other words, you realized the victim was suffering the effects of the stolen poison.
My mind started racing. I hadn't seen anything past Miss Brett's lips while I stepped in with her. There's only one possible way for the poison to have entered her body. On the blade of the knife in her back.
That train of thought was what spurred you to withdraw the blade.
Yes, if the amount that had entered her bloodstream was small enough, she might still have a chance. That's what I hoped. Really, I'm so sorry for staying silent all this time. Whew.
Your attempt to hide the truth of what happened is not something to be overlooked. However, I've duly noted the courage with which you confessed in the end.
Thank you, Your Excellency. It's barely perceptible, but I do think the balance has shifted a little here, in this courtroom now.
Objection!
Your Excellency, do not be deceived. The victim just collapsed before your eyes, you say? Well, Mbami-san, if that's the case, perhaps you could explain how Miss Brett came to be stabbed. Well, you have no answer because the simple truth is that you stabbed the victim motivated by revenge. You have no conclusive evidence to prove that assertion, do you? Oh, I have evidence. It is very much conclusive. What's the prosecution counsel up to? It's brief, but he hesitated for a moment there. I'm almost sure of it.
You'll produce the aforementioned evidence at once, Prosecutor Aochi.
Perhaps some praise is due, young Yoko student. What? I'd imagine there'd be no need for to submit this evidence. But you brought this on yourself. What the? More shall it exist? The cruelty of the air on that beach is almost palpable. This evidence, more than any other, reveals the true extent of the accused's murderous nature. Where'd that photo come from, though? For it shows the precise moment that Mbami-san plunged her dagger in the victim's back. No, that's not true. No. I don't believe it. Who took that picture, then? Who took the picture?
Order! 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 Counsel for the defense, was it you who were responsible for that shrill scream that just pierced my courtroom?
Perhaps his voice is yet to break. Those yokels are slow of mind and slow to mature. My god. This guy. I'll show you who's slow to mature. Careful now. Sasato's starting to show her face here.
It's often said that a picture is worth 1,000 words. And here we have ample proof. The court will accept this extremely cogent photographic print as evidence.
My god. I can't believe he's had a photograph like that up his sleeve the entire time. Such a stark image. I'm genuinely lost for words. Wait a minute. I don't understand. How did you... I mean, who took that photograph? Ray.
Attention!
That's of no importance here. Stop trying to avert attention. Oh.
Objection!
That's an absurd thing to say. It's crucially important. Whoever took this photographic print was a witness to Miss Brett's death. The court must be allowed to hear this person's testimony. Ah!
I will uphold the defense's demand. Prosecutors will reveal the identity of the person who's responsible for taking this photograph at once.
Well, I'm afraid I can't do that. Pardon? You see, this print arrived at the Imperial Police Bureau headquarters by express post yesterday, but there is nothing to indicate the sender's name or address. The provenance of the print is unknown.
Goodness.
How do you understand, then, counsel? Having full knowledge of the fact that this photograph has the murkiest of origins, you nevertheless believe it for submission for evidence to the Supreme Court? When you first produced that print before, I noticed that you hesitated for a brief moment. Because you knew that wasn't completely reliable evidence, didn't you? Silence, you yokel student blabbering professor! What matters is the blatant truth that this print so eloquently expresses. But the defense has already admitted to pulling the blade from the wound. Clear this isn't the moment that the knife was plunged in the victim's back, but the moment it was withdrawn. Don't waste this court's time with your ramblings.
Indeed, without knowledge of who produced this print, we have no means of verifying the claim. The CD captures without doubt the most compelling evidence presented to the court. If this is unable to shed any further light on the matter, I believe the conclusion is clear.
Oh no! Sasato, this is the time for you to fight. What you established so far is true, and there can be no doubt. This photograph shows the moment that Ray withdrew the blade from the victim. Yes, we just need to remove that somehow. You have plenty of time to rue your defeat on the slow train back to the provinces. And to rue the day he came against Taketsuchi Aochi in a court of law. I can't determine who took this photograph. The trial is going to come to an end. There must be a clue somewhere. There must be some way of working out who took it.
Well, counsel?
I'm pretty sure the killer took it because it's from... This is from the backside, which means someone could have gone through there and stabbed. Excellency, the burning question of who took that photograph. The truth is... I have the answer, I think. Slap. This isn't about whether I can or can't come up with the answer now. Simply have to. The identity of the person who took this dramatic photographic print is, I assure you, something a defense can and will reveal. What? But no, you can't possibly. But as you so boldly claim that you can, please enlighten us. Unfortunately, I'm unable to present a name. How utterly underwhelming. Did you really believe you could? However, I am able to present evidence. Defense is a piece of evidence that reveals important details about the photographer's identity. What?
Very well then, counsel. Present your proof to the court. Which piece of evidence you claim reveals something about the identity of the mystery photograph?
Let's examine this. What proves it? What specifically? Well, first of all, the camera's cracked. But I don't think it's gonna help us. Wait. Oh! Ha-ha!
Take that!
What is that? The newspaper again. Raucous England returnees tell all.
It's not the headline that's relevant here, Your Excellency. It's the photograph. If you look at it closely, you'll notice that there are some white lines on the right-hand side.
Ah, yes indeed. They had already caught my eye, as it happens.
Ha! What of it? A shadow of some kind, presumably? From the branches of a tree or the like? There are no trees growing inside the laboratory at the university, I can assure you. Now, if you look closely at this photograph...
Good gracious!
Yes, exactly the same pattern of lines is present in this photograph, too. Well, it tells us nothing. Yes, it's a shadow of some kind, definitely from the branches of a tree. There wouldn't be any trees growing inside a hut, the Beach Council.
What's quite remarkable about it is the two patterns are absolutely identical. How extraordinary similarity have transpired.
A curious matching pattern appears on both photographic prints. It's a result of a camera defect. Obviously, it must be due to a problem with the camera used to take the photographs. With the photographic device? Yes, you can confidently say that the camera's lens must be scratched. That the scratched lens causes unwanted lines to appear in every print taken with the device. In short, the two photographs under consideration here were taken with the same camera. Wait! Is the photographer that was following Soseki, is it that photographer? Oh my god. Yeah, but there must be hundreds of such camera devices here in the capital. It would be utterly impossible to identify the owner of this particular one. Well, who took the picture for the article? I think you're forgetting, Prosecutor Ouchi. That one of the photographs featured a newspaper article. A newspaper? That's right. The author of that article is the mystery witness to this crime. Wah! Minnow. What the heck?
I see where you're called a Raucous England returnee.
What are you yelling about? You've already testified.
It's... Many memo, I tell you! Many memo! Men-mo!
Sasaki-san, what was that? Did you say memo?
Since I returned Japan, a reporter from the Shoyu News has been hounding me, following my every move. Reporter by the name of Many Memo. Yes, hounding me from dawn until dusk!
Now that you mention it... I
secretly spy, snapshot, scribble stories, and scupper my privacy.
That guy did it. That same reporter be...
Camera to the left of him, notebook to the right. There I am, stuck in the middle with right hand many memo. So you're saying that this picture was taken by Many Memo? Yes, my lord, your excellency, Esquire. Officer, find this newspaper reporter at once and bring him to my courtroom. We will adjourn for a short recess in the meantime.
Oh, yes, your excellency.
As you say, your excellency. One more thing. I want this knife, the murder weapon, examined for traces of poison. We'll solicit the assistance of the Imperial University's medical department for the task. Understood? Meh. Many more.
Well, anyway, who's gonna guess that the knife doesn't have poison on it? And that's gonna be a twist that's gonna hinder our cause. Okay. Man. Also, hold on, I just realized that captions weren't on for a bit of that. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Okay. I'm so sorry, Susato. I should have told you about the toxin. Ray. You have a strong sense of responsibility, I know. That's why you decided to shoulder the burden alone. No, that's not it at all. I was scared of my failure coming to light, that's all. So I hoped to retrieve the substance from the Englishwoman before anyone found out. Before the trial started, remember what you said, Susato? I had no doubt in your mind about my innocence? That you'd stand by me to the last? I remember. And yet I didn't deserve your trust in me. Hid important details from you, Susato. Completely betrayed your faith in me. Hit me, Susato! I deserve it! No, in fact, throw me to the floor! No, that's too good for me as well. Drag me through the city streets! I'm no better, you know. Oh. Even though in my heart I knew that you pulled the knife blade from Miss Brett's back, there was just a brief moment when, in my mind, I doubted you. Susato, I'm sorry. If I stood here and promised you I'd stand by you and always be on your side, I betrayed your faith in me too. As such, I failed you as a lawyer. Oh no, no. I think the situation has taught both of you a valuable lesson. Placing unbridled faith in another is no easy task. Yes, Father. That fact has certainly struck home. Which is why I can see more clearly now. So, Ray? Yes? Can you find it in your heart to forgive me? Oh, Susato. You know you'll always be a gallant, dashing lawyer in my eyes now. Oh, Ray. The more she says that about Susato, I'm like, I was so scared, you know, when it happened. I didn't know what was going on. The Englishman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. I know it's you who stole the poison. Well now, whatever do you mean? And then, a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet before collapsing on the floor in front of me, with a knife in her back. It all happened right before my eyes. And you're the only people in the hut at the time? That's right. Just Miss Brett and myself. There's no one else. Well, clearly there was a hole. So I just don't understand how she could possibly have been stabbed like that. Great mystery indeed. I still can't believe it happened. That's why I just couldn't bring myself to speak up. It'll be alright. However it happened and whatever really went on by the sea that day, I promise you that I'm going to prove everything you said you saw is true. Spoken like a true Mikotoba. Now, I think we should discuss what's coming up in the trial, don't you? We don't have much time. Just make sure we have our facts in order. Yes, I expect the poison is going to come under close scrutiny in the upcoming proceedings. The police should hopefully have identified it on the blade by now. The trouble is, it's a completely new laboratory synthesized blend of alkaloids. The police won't have any way of testing for it. Uh-oh, I see. Yes, without this chemical reagent, it's impossible to detect the toxin. Chemical reagent? Sent a colleague of mine off some earlier to deliver to the police headquarters. I think perhaps we should have some as well, though, just in case. Chemical reagent! What's the matter, Sato? You're suddenly very quiet. This newspaper article. Exclusive deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. Wondering how the information got out, given that it was a government secret. What's all the English one's doing? What? It's when the professor and Saseki-san were being interviewed at the laboratory. The so-called English lady swaned in and without any compunction said to Professor Mikotoba, "Oh, Professor, surely your guests would love to hear about your work on that substance there." Put me in a very awkward position, to be frank. But Saseki-san's curiosity had been piqued, so I had little choice but to give him a cursory introduction. So then, Saseki-san knew about the poison. Yes, it's highly likely. The reporter who was writing up the story about us would have caught a glimpse of the toxin too. This Minimemo-san. By the way, did that reporter join you all when you went to the beach? Oh, no, I don't remember the reporter being there. Indeed, he shouldn't have been. Very much doubt anyone would have wanted him there. Oh? A known criminal had been given permission by the authorities to bathe by the seaside. Saseki-san pointed out that inviting a reporter might be problematic, so the man was sent back to his office. And he obviously didn't go back. He secretly followed the party to the beach and took this very candid photograph. And presumably posted it anonymously to the police. Yes, that must be what happened. You guys don't sound so sure. Counsel! Just heard the new witness is now ready to testify. The trial's about to resume. Please proceed to the courtroom at once. It's time to steel ourselves once again, then. Defense attorney, Ryutaro Naruhodo. Yes! Oh boy. Ray's put her faith in me now and told me everything. So I can't let her down. I have to prove that what she's telling the court is true. I have to prove what really happened that day. Alrighty. Gonna take a sippy real quick. Okay.
I hereby call this court to order. We convene to continue the trial of Ray Membambi. Prosecutor Auchi, have you summoned the new witness?
Before I address that question, Your Excellency, I have some very important news to share.
Oh?
What news? Why does he look so happy about... Oh, yep, there's no poison on the knife, is there?
During the recess with the collaboration of Professor Mikotoba's laboratory at Yuma University, the police re-examined the knife that was used to end Miss Giselle Brett's life.
Excellent. I admire your rapid handling of the matter.
Oh, too kind, Your Excellency, too kind. I was merely carrying out your instructions, of course.
Had the reagent delivered to police headquarters by rickshaws would be there in good time. But judging by the man's swagger, we might need to brace ourselves to the inevitable. And, Counsel, what were the results? No poison.
This dagger, which was so cruelly used to end the life of the victim, has no trace of poison anywhere along its blade.
What? Are you sure about that?
I would stake the reputation of the police on it.
Well, hold on a moment. What if, perhaps, the poison was in this wine glass instead? We could test the reagent on that, possibly. Armed with a reagent, the test is extremely simple. They could have made a mistake.
In short, the accused's feeble excuse earlier has been utterly destroyed.
Not necessarily. She still thought poison was on the knife, whether or not it was. Well, I mean, yeah. Still.
Now the prosecution's ready to call the new witness.
Ah, the newspaper reporter managed to capture a photograph of the crucial moment. Good. Very well. Officer, bring in the witness.
No trace of poison on the knife. But if that's really the case... how could the toxin vary the victim's body? She drank it in the wine glass. The poison was in her body regardless. That much is true.
Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court.
Right to the many men of the Show You News. I'm what people call a journo. What's a journo, Father? Do you know? Simply a contraction of journalist. I'm there when the news breaks, putting pen to paper to catch the scoops and then print the next morning. They don't call me the hero of the Herald for nothing. The nice guy of news. Oh god, the nice guy of news. Oh no. Oh, so it was you who took this photograph, was it? Well, well, what have we here? I'm sorry? Ooh, brace yourselves, people. Many Mento senses a scoop in the offing. Female student up to foul play, defended by curiously handsome young lawyer in Supreme Court. The readers will lap this up. We'll set above the fold at 72.5 legal form after the morning edition. Huh? Right then, let's start with your name. It's Ryutaro Naruhodo. Next, what made you want to become a lawyer? I want to reform our country's legal system, I suppose. Ryutaro has suddenly become very ambitious, I see. I sparred Kazuma-sama's dream for a while.
By the way, my name is Taketsuchi Aochi. That's Taketsuchi Aochi. The so-called dark horse at the Supreme Court. My injections strike fear into every defense lawyer's heart.
Let me guess, he doesn't care. No, the readers won't buy that.
What?
Witness?
Yes?
What this court demands to know is whether or not you were responsible for the taking of this picture. It was delivered anonymously to the Imperial Police Bureau only yesterday.
Yeah, I wouldn't be a journal if I didn't click quick when presented with a scoop like that now, would I? Sometimes story call out to me. Sometimes I chase them down. But either way, you gotta be fast. Fast legs to run with and a fast hand to write with. It's no good if you don't know it down, I always say. That's what I call my mini memoism. Mini memoism. I need to, like, not try and pronounce it like you would a Japanese name, and just pronounce it as the pun, many memo. Yes, I remember your face. Met this day when you were interviewing myself and Soseki-san. Yes, right. That was me, many memo again. But you're supposed to be going back to the Show You News offices after our meeting. But the scoop is, I didn't. Because that Englishwoman's words that piqued my journalistic interest. Miss Brett's words. A criminal left to do as she pleases just because she happens to be a British citizen. If it's horse dung, the continental judiciary's rotten to the core. Supreme Court's rulings aren't worth the paper they're written on. These are just imperial pawns. I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Stay your tongue, young man. There are complex political issues at play.
Well, anyway, quickly jot down those words you said in my mini memo pad. Are you ready? I'll read out. It's all here. Right, here goes. I should like to go with everyone to see our country's coast. A serious criminal going on some junket. People need to know about this. That's why I decided to sneak after them. To get the woman's story, so I can hammer her in the press.
Do you mean to say
that you did indeed witness it firsthand?
the grim scene portrayed in this photograph?
Oh yes, saw my very own journo eyes. From start to finish, through the viewfinder of my trusty camera. You need to get a new camera, bud.
Thank you, Many Memo-san. You'll now give a formal testimony before the court. And state exactly what it is that you witnessed of the events surrounding Miss Brett's death.
I don't know what to think of this guy. Oh, it's his pen! Hold on. It's his pen. Never mind, I hate him. It's his pen. The beach house is made of shoddy old reed screens, so there are plenty of gaps I could see inside through. The Englishman was sitting on a stool, and the student girl came in and started arguing with her. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife. Throwing the Englishman to the floor, she stabbed her in the back. The swollen journalist burst into flames. Quick as a flash, I whipped my camera ready to click. Pulled apart the rough weave of one of the screens and poked the lens through for the perfect shot. My god. Reed screens, you say? Right. You can see them clearly enough in that great shot I snapped. The hut walls were just screens made of coarsely woven reeds. Yes, it allows the breeze to pass through and bring some relief from the summer heat. Now it's a breeze for me to poke my camera through and see the whole thing hotting up. Ignoring for the time being the appalling invasion of privacy involved, did you witness everything that happened from the moment the defendant entered the hut? Oh yes, saw the whole thing from start to finish. You say that you took the photograph through a gap in one of the screens? Luckily for me, they were pretty shoddily woven. I pulled the reeds apart and thrust the lens of my camera through the gap. Did I get away with it? Would I be seen? It was the gamble of a lifetime. A tenacity purpose that's considered admirable to journalists, I suppose. Run a risk one day, run a scoop the next. That's many memoism in a nutshell. There we go. Now I can say that word better. I'm saying the pun instead of the name. Here we have a genuine witness of this wicked crime. The evidence and testimony are extremely compelling. I believe we may be close to a verdict. No! Wonderful news, Your Excellency. Wonderful. Nevertheless, it cannot be denied. Now, this testimony begs one very large question. What question? Exclusive news, startling photograph. All that makes it an exceptional story for the reporter. Why, then, was the story never published? Oh, that's right. It seems clear to me there are circumstances at play here that yet to be understood. Heh, more pathetic excuses. Very well, then, counsel. Proceed to cross-examination. Yes, Your Excellency. There's more that's reported that meets the eye. He's keeping something about this case very close to his chest. Much like those straps they keep trying to pull off. I just noticed he has a pencil in his hand and also a pencil behind his ear. Presumably when he snaps his pencil, so he has another one.
Hold it!
What made you want to see what was happening inside the beach hut in the first place? Call it journal instinct. Can you think of a better reason? Oh, I don't know. Perhaps because as well as being a proven criminal, the person inside was a young woman. Ah, see where you're going with this? Brace yourselves, people. He's paying the journal as a voyeur. It's hardly slander, sir. You had a camera and you're taking pictures without the woman's knowledge. Nope, you got it all wrong, little student boy. Sorry? To my mind, all that was inside that hut was a scoop. Nothing more, nothing less. Scoops know no gender, man or woman. It's all news. That's not even many memoism. It's basic journalism. If only the corn was as indiscriminate. Right. So that's all buttoned up. Can we move on? Tell the court then, witness. What sight befell your eyes when you looked inside the hut? Sight that vindicated my journal instinct, that's what! I pulled back the reeds. I can see it all as clear as day. It's actually Sam and Bami-san entering the hut? Yep. She was raging. Raging like a Jero spirit. Wait a minute, hold on. Just to double check. I know it's true, but I just want to double check his initials. Yep, RM, it's his pen. I just want to like double triple check just in case they try to pull something later. And the argument you mentioned, how's that about exactly? You stole it! I didn't steal it! That kind of thing. Talking about the poison, I suppose. The student girl walked right up to the Englishwoman and really started laying into her. I mean, if she laid her any more, there would have been eggs! The man should have been an author. His descriptive talents are wasted on journalism. But the student's rantings fell on deaf ears. Like a Japanese person learning English for the first time. He really ought to work on his similes first, though, to be honest.
Anyway, the point is, the woman in the dock was mildly angry.
And her temper finally got the better of her, it seems. Dear me.
Which was the climactic moment I caught on film.
Hold it!
Do you swear before this court that you actually saw the precise moment when the stabbing took place? Ha! The precise moment. I didn't see just that. I saw the whole scene play out. From start to finish.
I have your simple plan of the beach hut. Perhaps you could use it to explain to the court exactly what you witnessed.
Right you are. It's all here in my memo pad. I first peered into the hut. Sure, the Englishwoman was on the stool at the back of the hut here.
Yes, the accused's own testimony confirmed that.
She sat at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly. That's what I've noted down. It's my turn to testify now. Trying to interrupt. Then the next moment, as I was watching, the evil student girl entered the hut. After a while, the pair of them ended up in the middle of the hut, arguing furiously. The Englishwoman went for the student, but the girl dodged out of the way. And in a flash, she plunged a knife in the adversary's back as the two passed each other. What do you describe as a grim crime indeed? Never sugarcoat the truth. That's what mini-memoism says. Oh? My good friend Spam Risk is calling me. Sorry, I'm busy streaming. By the way, Memo-san, whilst you're watching the terrible scene unfold before your eyes through the gap of the screen, did it not occur to you to try to prevent the tragedy rather than capture it on film? Journalists have to be observers. You can't get involved. That's our raison d'etre. So you didn't converse with Miss Brett at all? Obviously not. An observer always remains, on the outside looking in. And that's something to be proud of, is it? Your Excellency, if I may. Yes, Professor? I think the witness's last expertly phrased statement should perhaps be added to his formal testimony. Father, what are you... I will grant the defense's request. Memo-san, you'll supplement your formal testimony with the aforementioned statement. Well, now let's do the foundation of memo-memoism. I'll gladly prove my words aren't meaningless.
Hold it!
Really? You didn't set foot inside the hut at all? Are you quite sure about that? I think you may have the wrong impression of me. We're talking about a murder scene here. My nerves are stretched to the breaking point already. Oh, I see. You were scared? Maybe I did have the wrong impression of you, yes. It was all I could do to stifle a scream and hold my hand steady enough to snap the shot. You really should have summoned help before thinking of your camera. Many memoism and humanism don't always agree. Most of the time in these instances, many memoism comes out on top. As a sculptor of stories, sometimes they'd be cruel for my art. Yes, that's spot on. Surely he's making all this up. He claims to have spied the whole affair from start to finish. True, his testimony is devastating. But it does seem as though he's holding something back, doesn't it? If that's how you feel, I suggest that you trust your instincts and press him on everything he said. It's no doubt seen done many times before in your role as judicial assistant. Yes, I have. I've seen witnesses like this pressed often. I know exactly what to do. Oh right, it skipped that last one.
Hold it!
The court is fully aware of your desire to capture the incident on film, I'm sure. But why then did you choose to post a photograph anonymously to the police? I'm afraid I don't understand a word that's coming out of your mouth. I'm asking you why, as a journalist, you decided not to make a story out of the incident. Think of me as a sculptor. Sculptor makes art of the sordid, private details of other people's lives. I discuss my own personal life on principle. I mean, that's basic mini-memoism.
It's not something to boast about. No doubt your burning desire to see the truth exposed and justice done was what motivated you. That's it! That's brilliant! My burning desire to see something or other exposed. There has to be a good reason why I didn't think to write an article about what he saw, though.
By your own admission, you were outside the hut. How then did you manage to take the photograph?
Ah, yes, that. Glad you asked.
Hold it!
But the two women I didn't notice? Ha! Obviously not. If they had, where would I be right now? In jail, that's where. But you'd think it would make you reflect on what you were doing. No, a journalist's job is to collect little snippets of life as obtrusively as possible. Leave nothing but footprints. Take nothing but photos. Yes, that's spot on. Did they just make that up? The point is, the witness risked life and limb to obtain this photograph. This photograph reveals the whole truth. There's nothing more to be said.
Okay, now let's look over evidence some more. Okay. So obviously the guy was around here-ish. Based on this. But also... Wait a minute. Is that where? He could have stabbed her in the back right there. Oh my god. These are a lot of footprints. That's a lot of footprints, actually. Oh, what about this, though? The pen... I think it is the fountain pen that I do. I think it is the pen. I can't prove these footprints are his, but this is his pen. Absolutely.
Objection!
Minimemo-san, till now I've had a firm belief. The newspaper's in the business of uncovering publishing the truth. You're spot on there. The press doesn't lie, which I'm proud to wear the emblem of the Shoyu News on my arm. In a way, that's more Mini-Memoism. Sadly, though, it seems the journalists who write for those papers don't always share the same passion for the truth. What are you suggesting of those recriminatory words, Counsel? Mini-Memo-san, do you recognize this fountain pen? Yeah! This pen was found at the scene of Miss Brett's death. In fact, the murdered victim was gripping at her hand as she died. What are you... If you look at the barrel of the pen, you'll notice its owner's initials are engraved there. RM. Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Counsel. The initials of the accused, Ray Membami. Is it a coincidence, I wonder? That your initials are also RM? No! Right in Mini-Memo. RM. That's horse dung! Can't you see one of the central chance of Mini-Memos as being a pencil user? And yet, as the court will clearly be able to see, on your right hand, there's a very obvious blue ink stain. It would appear that you must have rather carelessly left it somewhere recently. Your favorite fountain pen, that is. Horsey horse dung! Mini-Memo-san, is it not the case before she died? You met with Giselle Brett in that beach hut? Why should we listen to this absurd nonsense? It's nothing better than an excuse. Exactly. Shoyu News will stand behind me all the way. I deny everything. There must be so many people with the initials RM as there are stars in the night sky. The fence is neither the time nor the inclination to count every star in the sky. There's no need anyway, because his pen has more to tell. Yes, there's another clue. A clue that undeniably proves who its owner really is.
In that case, Counsel, the defense will now show the court where this alleged clue lies.
Of course, Your Excellency. The clue in this fountain pen that clearly reveals its owner's identity is... Boopity boop boop boop.
Got it!
As well as the initials, there's also an emblem on this fountain pen. An emblem that you will of course recognize, Many Memo-san.
Goodness me! It's the emblem of the Shoyu News!
In other words, the owner of this pen is an employee of the Shoyu News whose initials are RM. Suddenly the stars in that sky don't seem so numerous, do they? Well, Many Memo-san, how do you respond?
No!
Look at this dude.
Order! Order! Explain yourself, witness!
So, this is how the mighty Supreme Court works, is it? Using coercive tactics to have well-meaning citizens reveal harmless secrets. I've used nothing but honest tactics. Alright then, fine. I won't try to hide it anymore. Yes, not long before that grim tragedy unfolded, I, a Shoyu News reporter on behalf of the public, conducted an interview with the Yoshi-woman. An interview? You never mentioned this before. What exactly was this? As I said, it was before that evil little suit girl showed her face in the hut. It couldn't have lasted more than 2 or 3 minutes, that's all. Just a brief exchange. That's when you slipped the poison into the wine glass. It came to nothing. As the Many Memo says, the people don't pay their dues for unworthy news.
However insignificant you may deem it to be, this court cannot overlook the meeting between yourself and the victim. You will testify under oath about the precise nature of this meeting and what transpired.
Got it. Yes, all right, but on one condition.
Condition?
In all good conscience, I couldn't speak out alone about this. You need to call back the earlier witness, Soseki Natsume-san. Soseki-san? Oh yes, according to my notes here, that man has a secret of his own. Embrace yourselves. Because it's not a harmless one, it's big. What? What? Oh boy. What did Soseki-san do this time? Many Wisdom states that one man's secret is every other man's front page story.
Very well, I'll check out the witness's request in this instance. Officer, summon the early witness back to the stand.
Soseki-san, hiding something? Oh, yep. He's doing the thing again. I asked the Englishwoman for an interview, but she's declined. So left the hut without making a fuss. Then, watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed and the other witness come running. Detective realized the victim still had a pulse, so ran out to fetch help. That's when this writer man here asked the woman a very significant question. But he didn't say anything about that in his testimony, which is why Many Memos and demands I reveal it now. Oh.
You mean to say the victim?
The victim regained consciousness?
Well,
And when she did, you decided to ask her a question?
That's, true, yes. He did. That's not all. The woman gave him a very definite answer. An answer that incriminates the accused. Uh-oh.
This is preposterous. Why am I only hearing about this now? Why didn't you make this before, you yokel hack?
It wasn't even a conversation. Yes, I did pose a withering English Rose a question. I don't deny it. But she could no longer speak. She's barely conscious, even.
Counsel for the defense, expect a thorough cross-examination be conducted here. This court must and will know the truth.
Absolutely, Your Excellency. The reporter's claiming that Miss Brett implicated Ray somehow. What on earth could have happened in that hut? Oh boy. Oh boy.
Hold it!
You asked her for an interview, you say? Well, of course I did. I want to ask her about the incident she was involved in at the end of last year. About the case in which Dr. Johnny Wilson lost his life? That's not the way I phrased it. Many memos and calls for straight talking. Why'd you murder Dr. Wilson? That's how I put it to her. Yes, that sort of talking is straight as a ruler. Ask every question as if you're asking for a menu in a restaurant, I say. The best way. Veteran at the paper, tell me that. How did Miss Brett answer? With one simple phrase. Mystery is a woman's charm. Whew, that told me. So I waltzed right out of there. Really? Something about that doesn't quite seem to fit together. Leave every room as if you're waltzing in a dance hall, I say. The best way. Veteran at the paper taught me that.
Hold it!
Hold it indeed. That was very persistent of you, considering that Miss Brett just turned you away. Persistent wins the prize. Any many memoirs will tell you that. This turned to a tongue twister real quick. I don't think you've left from just when they lower the guard. That's when you swoop in for the scoop.
And the fruits of your labor are all too apparent in this telling photograph. Though I'm sure the young yokel student would rather not be reminded of this evidence.
Actually, it's thanks to that photograph that we managed to identify this witness.
Not you found me. I'll tell you whatever you want to know. I've got nothing to hide.
I'm sure.
Please do go ahead, witness. The court is eager to hear what you have to say. Try to stop me. There's a story to tell here, and I'm going to tell it.
Hold it!
And Sasaki-san remained behind the hut?
That's right. Yep. Author friend here.
It's a blabbering wreck, shaking all over from his head to his toes. Mustache twitching, eyes bulging. What do you expect?
You don't know the terrifying troubles that daunted me whilst traveling abroad. Back behind baleful bars. They'll be coming for me, surely. That's all I could think. Felt as though I were grasping for air, trying to conceive cold sweat.
Poor Sasaki-san. Experiences in London have scarred him deeply.
Yup.
The world seemed to close in around me. I quietly recited a prayer to Amida Buddha. Eternal emptiness. Empty eternity. The end is coming for me, surely.
No suture to resound in my courtroom, please.
And now, come the crucial part. That's what happened.
Hold it!
What question? What exactly did he say? Well now, you should hear that from the horse's mouth, I think. Don't you, Mr. Rider-Man?
Out with it, you yokel hack! What'd you say to her? What'd you say to the dying Englishwoman?
Well, in truth, I've been catching crabs at the water's edge and building castles in the sand, you see.
Well, seaside is a place to be at leisure, I suppose, even for a grown man.
But then all of a sudden, from the little beach hut, young girls' panic-stricken cries for help pierced the air. Hey, I ran to the beach to see what was happening. Found the defendant leaning over the collapsed victim. Soon as Inspector Hosonaga saw Miss Brett on the ground, he sprinted off to get help. And then, just a moment later, I heard a faint moan. A moan from the dead Englishwoman. I nearly jumped out of my skin! But what'd you ask her, Sasaki-san? I asked her, who did this to you?
Don't protract this any longer. How'd the woman respond?
She didn't. She said nothing in response. But
when in the stand, you will answer the questions asked of you unambiguously. Now, without evasion or reticence, demand you amend your testimony.
I will!
Hold it!
Let's press this again. So he tried to find out who the culprit was. He asked the questions of the fool for a minute. He who does not remains a fool forever. Having been labeled a criminal twice during my time in Great Britain, I was quick to make up my mind. Twice? Not just the once? What happened? I didn't know he was used twice. Hang on. Better be a fool for a minute to remain a fool in prison forever.
However, you've indicated that the victim failed to respond. Is that correct?
I know why. I know why the Englishwoman said nothing. She was ignoring me because of my stupid mustache. Because I'm Japanese. Oh dear. Sasaki sounds really developed a dislike for the English, it seems. Having read the report on his time in Great Britain, I can't say I'm surprised at his xenophobia. But the Englishwoman didn't ignore you at all. Did she, Mr. Riderman? Well, yes, alright. She did respond in a manner of speaking, I suppose. Just lifted a trembling finger and pointed in the direction of the defendant.
Hold it!
Miss Brett pointed a finger at the defendant? Sasaki-san, is that really true? It's not easy to stand here and say this, but when we first entered the beach hut, the Englishwoman was sprawled on the floor before us, the student girl standing on the far side of her. When I asked who did this to you, the Englishwoman summoned her last ounce of strength to point a trembling finger at the back of the hut. Was perhaps she pointing outside of the back of the hut? Perhaps? Which was, can't be denied, in the direction the student girl stands accused today. No. Sasaki-san, why on earth did you neglect to mention this in your original testimony? But fiddlesticks, I say. It's not a British court of law. You'll respond in Japanese. Yes, of course. Englishwoman did point her finger towards the back of the hut, but I was trembling, and she was trembling, and everything was a blur. And thinking about it, feels though perhaps she was pointing in a slightly different direction. Actually, no, not slightly, in a very different direction where a student girl was standing. Somewhere at the back of the hut, no way standing at all. Gotcha. You mean that your memory of events and the direction of which the victim was pointing are both unclear? Yes, that's it. Unclear. Very, very unclear.
Objection! Your Excellency, sure this proves the matter beyond all reasonable doubt. Yes, the woman may barely have been conscious, and yes, perhaps her finger wavered slightly. But there can be no doubt this was an attempt by the victim to confirm the identity of assailant. Why? Because the court can see there was no one utterly accused in the direction the victim was pointing. Now abundantly clear that no one besides the accused could have possibly committed this crime.
I am inclined to agree. In absence of any credible argument to the contrary, I believe we can now conclude this trial.
No. No! The headline's writing itself. Dashing lawyer's hopes dashed. 92 point across the whole page. We're doing an extra edition. This is a serious blow, Susato. Once we're able to identify the true culprit and substantiate our claim with evidence, the judge will give his ruling and the trial will be over. But that's impossible, Father. I don't even know how the crime was committed yet. Impossible though the task may seem, we have no choice. Let's think back over everything we've learned thus far. Somewhere in all those details, I'm confident we'll find the clue we need. Pray give us her account of how events unfolded in the defendant's antechamber before the trial resumed. She told us what happened at the precise moment Miss Brett was killed. The Englishwoman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. And then a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Before collapsing on the floor in front of me, with a knife in her back. How could Miss Brett have been stabbed in the back, in a beach hut that was empty but for herself and Ray? Somewhere amid all the information we've gathered so far, there must be an answer to that question.
Take it then. The defense has nothing further to add.
So, the gallant yokel student's luck finally runs out. Can't say I'm surprised.
In that case, I'm ready to deliver my final verdict on this matter.
It's a crucial turning point now. If I can't establish what really happened, it's over. Where's the real culprit hiding? And how did he or she stab the victim? I know how.
Objection!
Your Excellency, I respectfully ask you to postpone your adjudication for the time being.
Oh? To what end, counsel?
The defense would like to present the court with an alternative theory. Alternative theory that could explain who the victim was actually trying to implicate with her dying gesture.
An alternative theory? Ha! None exists!
Objection!
There was someone else present at the scene who could have committed this crime.
What?
And the victim, Miss Brett, tried to reveal who it was to those around her at the time. By mustering all her remaining strength and pointing a trembling finger in the killer's direction.
This is fiction! Fantasy!
Very well. As you seem so sure of yourself, Counsel, I'm prepared to hear your alternative theory. So, young Ryutaro Naruhodo,
Yes, Your Excellency.
will present your latest theory to the court by means of this plan. The moment the victim was stabbed, where exactly are you proposing the culprit was concealed?
Outside.
Take that!
Naruhodo-san would never give up, and I'm a Naruhodo now. The true culprit who fatally stabbed Miss Brett was concealed in this location here.
Are you mad, Counsel? You're suggesting the culprit was outside the hut.
What?
Order! Order! Order!
But student lawyer Naruhodo-san Esquire, that makes no sense at all. You just point out the exact spot where I was hiding to get my scoop snap. I didn't see any suspicious individuals loitering about. I can swear to that. Obviously, if the culprit had been outside the hut, there's no way he or she could have stabbed the victim who was inside the hut. Actually, Prosecutor Aochi, there is a way. And in point of fact, defense can find evidence strongly suggesting that's precisely the way Miss Brett was killed. You're bluffing. You're bluffing, you yokel.
The defense's assertion is clearly too fantastical for the court to comprehend. You'll need to give us more guidance, Counsel. What piece of evidence corroborates your theory that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut?
This, probably.
Take that!
The original photographic print of the crime scene.
Yes, it's clearly visible in this print. It traced the fatal thrust that was delivered from outside the beach hut.
Attention!
Do you take us for fools? There's no hint of any such thing. I'm not sure that everyone present would agree. Someone, at least, appears to have noticed what it is that I'm referring to.
Counsel, once again I must call on you to be explicit for the court. Where on this photograph is the trace of the stabbing, which you claim took place outside the hut?
Right about here.
Take that!
Look closely just here. In the screen at the back of the hut, you can see the effects of a blade having been forced through the reeds. No, I can't. I can't see any such thing. It's true the hut in question had 4 walls, as you expect. However, by parting the reeds, a knife blade could have easily penetrated them.
This is extraordinary!
Yes. The true culprit actually stabbed the victim from outside the beach hut. Ah. And if everyone present at the scene, there's only one person who could have done that. Only one person who was directly outside the hut when Miss Brett was killed. Right, Tenmeni Memo-san. It could have only been you.
No!
Objection!
This preposterous idea leaves me almost speechless. Just look at that photograph again. The victim lies almost exactly in the center of the beach hut, does she not? Or do we assume, as part of this farcical scenario, that the assailant was a knife thrower?
Objection!
No, of course not. We're not. If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the defense just before the victim's death, inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly as if she knew she was untouchable. A stool? Have another look at the photograph. A slit in the reed screen would align perfectly with the back of the person who was sitting on that stool.
My word! So, in fact, the victim was...
killed while sitting on that stool by a stab wound to her back delivered through the reed screen. Ah! Having been attacked, Miss Brett rose to her feet instinctively. But then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut. For a defendant, Minbami-sama has appalled eyes. And that, Your Excellency, is the truth of what happened on the beach that day. By your silence, Many Memo-san, I take it that you don't deny the charge? This is absurd! Well, are you gonna give it up, or...
That will do! It would appear that we have a tacit admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth of this matter. It That means the defendant, Mbami-san, is innocent of the crime.
Oh, thank goodness. Finally made him cave.
I must say, I've never been more proud.
No, this can't be. The Ouchie clan can't. What of my growth of hope. It wasn't an apparition. I can't accept this. I won't.
See no reason for the continuance of this trial. I will therefore move to conclude proceedings by delivering my final verdict and...
Oh, Sasaki-san? Oh.
Well, this is all very convenient. This is how the highest court in our mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and branding them as criminals.
But you've established that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut, through the reed screen walls.
No one but you was in place at the time to have his hand on the hilt of the blade. It's a perfectly logical deduction.
So your argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the Englishwoman, does it?
Well, it seems a little irrelevant now.
Irrelevant?
Where she was stabbed, how she was stabbed. Doesn't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference if you think about it. After all, the trial's already shown the whole thing hinges on something else.
What are you talking about?
Brace yourselves, little man. I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed. Because the dirt you dug up. Oh, the poison?
What?
Enough obscurity. Explain yourself, witness.
What's to explain?
Talking about the poison, of course.
The poison?
Let's ask the professor for comment on the situation, shall we? I understand a deadly poison you're developing was stolen from your laboratory, correct? It's been shown this poison was administered to the victim, Miss Brett. Is that right? That is correct. Usual constriction of the victim's pupils are a sure sign this particular poison was used.
Oh, but there's no poison on the knife.
I see. So presumably that means the victim already had the poison in her body before she was stabbed.
Ah!
Given that her pupils were clearly constricted, it seems highly likely, yes. If she had been dead already, the poison could not have circulated in her blood.
How refreshing to hear the argument of a metropolitan mind. Precisely. There's not a jot who stabbed whom in these back and with whose blade. Because, quite simply, the Englishwoman's life was taken not by the knife, but by the poison.
But that can be explained by the poison being on the blade, as I already...
Forgotten already, have we, yokel? During these very proceedings, the laboratory of the professor at your side assisted in proving that the blade of the weapon used to attack the victim had no trace of poison on it whatsoever.
Well, in that case, can you prove that the defendant did poison?
So let me get this down. The facts as skillfully established by the defense of this trial turn out to be a headline-making red herring. Is that about right?
Well...
I wouldn't say that. You still need proof that... Where does this leave us? How, in that case, did the poison enter the victim's body? There's an undeniably obvious answer to that. They most likely imbibed it.
I mean, she drank it?
Have another look at the photograph here. As you can see... Bottle of carbonated water in a glass if it knocked on the sandy floor of the beach hut. Poison could have been slipped into either.
So somebody made Miss Brett drink it. But you can't prove that was the defendant or not. In fact,
Manny Membo was also in there.
Well, what do you know? With those dashing eyes, it's like a great front page talk.
Hey! What a bewitching stare. After all, I'm the last person you should be looking at. Make no sense at all that poison the woman, would it? I mean, that's been established already. Established? What are you talking about? Huh? Don't tell me you've forgotten. It's a little hard to believe, given that the person who established it was you.
Me? What does he mean?
Ooh, let me catch those white eyes. This is a prime press fodder, this is. seems this trial is not destined to end yet after all. Hereby call upon the witness to give further testimony.
That's great, that is. Let me get a shot of the magnificent beard, Your Excellency.
Claim it to be impossible to you are the one responsible for administering the poison to the victim. You explain according to your testimony the basis upon you make such a claim.
I'm a journal and I'm a man. Never tried to run or hide from anything in my life. I'm not about to start now, because that's minimalism. For a brief moment, I thought I illuminated the truth, but slipped right back into obscurity again. So where is this trial going to take us? Oh yes, I stabbed the English woman. That's the very fact that proves I'm innocent. Because why would I bother to stab them if I already poisoned her? When I heard the student girl and that pompous English murderer arguing, got my goat. Courts weren't going to punish Brett for what she did. Someone else would have to see justice done. So, you admit then, that everything happened as I described. That you are the one who stabbed Miss Brett in the back through the read screen. Blame this miserable country of ours. Country that bows to the pressure of foreign powers and lets murderers walk free. What kind of future can a country like that have? That's why I did it. And what pathetic leaders didn't have the guts to do. Slap bang in the middle of that charming lady's back. Pledge to pay a sweet justice right in there. Someone who spends his life seeing that truth is told. I feel really, really awful about giving false information in my testimony before. As it turns out, there's somebody else who had it in for the victim and got to her before me. That's right, you guessed it. That pretty little student girl. But you also admit that you were in the beach hut beforehand. Before all that. Pretty little student girl. Now there's one from my own heart. You're implicating Ray again. She's the one who gave the poison to English woman under her pitiful existence. Suddenly, snap! This journal here was off the hook!
The argument is sound, certainly. The witness had administered the poison himself, he need only have waited for it to take effect. Subsequently stabbing the victim in the back would have been entirely nonsensical.
And therefore, this report had nothing to do with the poisoning. Yes, it's all quite logical. That's right, it is. Logical and true. I'm glad you've all seen the light. Justice at last! This is unbelievable. After I made so much progress in proving his guilt, is he going to get away with it now? Slap! Think of Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san. They never stopped looking for a way forward until the judge's final gavel.
This is my final gavel. Very well then, counsel. Proceed with what I assume to be your final cross-examination in this trial.
Yes, Your Excellency. Alright. I would like to, do more court record stuff real quick. Because I realized we've never actually looked at this. The label appears to be written in a foreign language that I don't know. It's German, and sure your knowledge of English is going to be a little help here, I'm afraid. Could you just have written medicine on it in Japanese? We'd all be able to read it. German is the international language of medicine, my dear. But yes, I can certainly see the merit in labeling the bottle in Japanese. I'm not sure medicine would be entirely appropriate. Can we, like, use the reagent at all? Ah yes, this must be the victim's blood. Oh dear, blood is never a pretty sight, is it? Gotta fight the urge to run it under a hot tap and get it clean. You've always been fastidious about cleanliness, haven't you? I think this is something else, Father. Alright, guess... Can we use the reagent on this?
Hold it!
So, you do admit they had murderous intentions toward Miss Brett, then? Ha! The one's very existence offended my sense of justice. Your sense of... some sort of righteous indignation. She was pure evil. Cold-blooded killer and committed a murderous right here on our Empire's soil. Would a good-for-nothing government do anything? Not a chance. So I had to step in. Fly the flag of justice. Put things right for the people. Yes, it was my civic duty. That's what drove me to do it. So in summary, murderous intentions then. Whatever you want to call it, the point is this. The Englishwoman was a blight. So I had to do what was right for society. Yet a real wrong was done by the student girl in the dock, for which she must pay. Obviously, because the poisoning was nothing to do with me at all.
Hold it!
So you still maintain they didn't give the poison to the victim? Obviously. That'd be like putting a belt on your trousers when you're already wearing braces like these. The accused administered the poison, following which the witness stabbed the victim. An unforgivable act, certainly, but not one of murder. That crime rests on the accused's shoulders. That is how the law works, you see, Yoko. Who knows? You may even learn something here today.
2 consecutive attempts on her life in the space of minutes. Quite a day for the victim.
Do something that evil and you got it coming. That's how the law works. The law of reckoning. That's not the kind of law this court upholds.
You'll reiterate why you were compelled to stab the victim, then, witness.
Hold it!
What exactly were they arguing about? About what happened in that restaurant 9 months ago. That's what. That's not... That's a lie, actually. They talk about stealing the poison. Sunko was laying the Englishwoman for killing her beloved mentor, Dr. Wilson.
Yes, John H. Wilson. Professor of Medicine. I did know from England by Professor Mikotoba, no less.
Right. The Englishwoman just jeered.
Her case was to be heard by the British Consular Court in Shanghai. However, there's little doubt that she would simply have been acquitted and sent back to her homeland a free woman.
Seeing that student girl up inside, you could see it. I really felt for her. She's back. I can't stand here listening to this tripe. Ray!
Young girl, you stand accused here. You can't just blur whenever you feel like it.
No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of some very important testimony here. Just keep quiet and listen. But this awful man's making all this up. Susato, please, you have to make them listen.
Return to the dock at once, Minbami-san. We're in the middle of a cross-examination.
Your Excellency, please, I implore you. The jurors clearly not trustworthy the witness. Exactly. He's a filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, dirty, great peeping Tom. Whoa, take it easy there. Please, I really think the court should hear what the defense has to say.
Your Excellency, I see no need whatsoever to entertain the accused remarks.
Please say yes.
I will grant the request of the defense.
But, Your Excellency...
This is likely to be the final cross-examination of these proceedings. As such, I believe it would be ill-advised to stifle the defense of these concerns. So, whilst recognizing this contravenes regular protocol, hereby call upon the defendant to speak.
Oh. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. It has nothing to do with Dr. Wilson. We were discussing the stolen poison. This is true.
Hold it!
The stolen poison that killed the victim, you mean? I suspected her of being the one to steal it. I mean, just think about how she killed Dr. Wilson. That's true. Additionally, Miss Brett certainly had knowledge of the new poison.
Surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin we developed for the government.
Indeed. All visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even a thief managed to avoid being seen by himself or colleague. Getting the poison out would be very difficult.
It's true. Pest Professor Mikotomoto agreed to show me the poison when I visited the laboratory. The poison is in the pen! As I left, I was searched from top to tail. Miss Brett rather bluntly revealed the existence of the toxin we'd been developing, you see. Since the Seki-san expressed such an interest in it, I was unable to refuse. Obviously, I gave nothing away other than the fact that it was an extremely potent substance. I'm very ashamed of myself. It's just that I've had a singularly terrible experience with the deadly poison. I wanted to look my old enemy in the eye. Surely you can understand that. To find out my suspicions were true, I confronted Miss Brett about the poison. I thought if there was to be an incident involving it somehow, it wouldn't just be the university. The military would be dragged into it. The whole government, even. It'd be a complete disaster. And how did Miss Brett respond to your concerns? She just curled those beautiful lips of hers and said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually. Ah, yes. Many Memo-san, one small question if you don't mind. I do mind. Can't you see I'm busy? Clearly, you're outside the beach hut listening in whilst the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably, Ben, it was you who wrote this article about what you'd heard. Exclusive. Deadly poison stole from UA Medical Research Laboratory. Stories published in this morning's edition of Show You News. Details too accurate for it to have been written by anyone else. Sorry, don't know what you're talking about. Yes, look at this! The entire article. It's almost what I said to Miss Brett, word for word. Ah! Well, Many Memo-san? As a journo, and as a citizen of a free country, I have to reveal my sources. It's a founding principle of Many Memoism. Father's clearly right about this. That reporter did write that article, and he based on what he overheard from outside the hut. So that's what it was all about. You're trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in. That's why I came up with that stinking story about me arguing with her. Just shut up! My stories never stink. Look, whatever you say, little girl, doesn't alter the facts. Your Excellency, there's something I want to say. I want it to go on record. Oh, it's gotta be good. Very well, may amend your formal testimony. Oh my god, he's up in arms about it. Is that the one, I think?
Hold it!
Perhaps you doubted the efficacy of the poison and sought to make sure your victim would die. That's horse dung! What? That would be like pouring pepper on your Chinese ramen before you even tasted it. Completely reckless. Although, I'm surprised you'd learn that I'm a bit of an impetuous pepper whore, happens. If the victim had taken the poison, she would have been only minutes away from death. And yet, this man then proceeded to stab her in the back as well. Has to have been a good reason for that. It was the reporter who gave the poison to Miss Brett. Clearly. Must have done it prior to Ray entering the hut. Yes, that's undeniable. But between him leaving the hut and the victim being stabbed, there's one very crucial change in the situation. Sorry? What change? The reporter overheard the conversation between Ray and the Englishwoman. Ah, yes, that's it! That's where Many Memo-san first found the exact nature of the poison he used. That could be the key here. The victim had unwittingly taken the poison already. The reporter would have had no reason to stab her. On the face of it, that logic sounds entirely reasonable. There's no question this man was responsible for Miss Brett's murder. I can think of a plausible explanation as to why he might have stabbed her even after the poisoning. I feel sure that everything would drop into place. That's what we should be looking for. Yes, I agree. In order to do that, I must try to glean more information.
Hmm. Can we do anything with this more? I don't think so. Uh... Well, Let's see. Well, the poisoning happens in minutes. Which meant it happened before Ray entered the hut, probably. Okay. Well. The only thing I can think of is, like... The only thing I can think of is presenting the poison article at this. Because this is the only thing that has, like, extensive writing on the poison. I'll go with it.
Objection!
Let's see. Well, I can think of one reason. What? But before I explain, I'd like you to confirm something for the court. Did you glean all the information from this newspaper article from what you overheard outside the hut? Of course he did. There can be no question of that. From when we were all in the laboratory together. All we're told is that was a terrible toxin. There's one more important fact to consider. According to the witness, Membami-san's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as she entered the hut. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to slip the poison in Miss Brett's drink.
Objection!
Where are you going with this, counsel? Many Mimosas made it quite clear they observed every single thing that happened in the beach hut. The defendant somehow found an opportunity. This man would have seen it. Which means that Miss Brett couldn't have imbibed the poison while the defendant was present. In fact, it must have been administered to her before Membami-san entered the hut. Yes, very articulately put. When I walked into the hut, I immediately started to press Miss Brett about the poison. At which point, Minimomo-san overheard some worrying information. Worrying information? What worrying information? The information which he subsequently included in his newspaper article. Namely, the poison being developed in strict secrecy that couldn't be readily obtained. Absolutely. In fact, that's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could have come from is my lab. And furthermore, anyone afflicted by the poison would exhibit telltale signs of death. Extreme constriction of the pupils. Yes, it's quite stark when you see it. There are other poisons that show similar symptoms, but not among new substances that are undetectable. In other words, it would be clear that the victim's life had been ended by use of this particular poison. Which will reduce the number of suspects to only a handful of people. Everyone in my laboratory is aware of the unique properties of the toxin we've been developing. None of them would be foolish enough to attempt to use it for some nefarious deed. And Bonnie-san being no exception. Therefore, we conclude that whoever administered this unique poison to the victim was a layperson unaware of its telltale properties. In other words, someone like you, right, Minimomo? Just got you there. It's in the pen. We gotta prove it's from the pen. It was you who stole the poison from the laboratory that day. It was you administered to the unwitting victim. But you quickly realized that was a terrible mistake. Because of the poison caused such unusual symptoms, so traceable. As you listened in from the far side of the beach hut's thin walls, you learned of these facts. You'd already given the victim the poison at that point. It was too late. So you hatched a plan to disguise your mistake. A plan that involved stabbing the victim in the back through the read screen.
But what good could that possibly do?
Isn't it obvious, Counsel? The plan is to kill Miss Brett before the poison could take effect. Once in the blood, the poison caused the onset of pupil constriction. He had hoped to precipitate the victim's death before that happened, hadn't he? Exactly. That's without any revealing signs of the new secret poison's use. No one ever suspected.
This is extraordinary.
Yes, the effects of the poison meant it would be too easily identified, so the killer to mask its use, which attempted to by plunging a knife in the middle of the victim's back. Well,
Order! 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 The argument presented is sound. The court is satisfied that warrants consideration. The prosecutors have a counter-argument in which to put forward.
Well, there are a number of... yes, I counter completely.
Objection!
the prosecution's evasive response clearly shows that in much the same way as he nurtures the remnants of his top knot, he's clinging to lost hope.
Lost hope?
Uh-oh. Is it this time? Is it Mini Memo? It's Mini Memo. What's he saying?
Ah, you pathetic, useless, fallen samurai! Fallen? Who are you calling fallen? My burgeoning growth is on the... I don't need a counter-argument.
What? What are you talking about?
It should be blatantly obvious. I stole the poison, you say? Gave it to the victim, you say? Stabbed her, you say? Lots of fine theories. But I don't need a counter-argument because you don't have an argument yourself. Where's your evidence?
Yes, you make it all sound so plausible, don't you? Without evidence, it means nothing.
Whereas I base my news on facts.
Facts? What do you mean? Explain yourself.
I mean, what the professor said earlier in this trial. It's all here in my many memos. Every word, every slip of the tongue, all noted. The show you news is famous for. The power of the printed word.
But surely it'd be no easy task to see the highly secret talks and be developed for the government.
He put it in the pen, I'm telling you. Indeed, all of his laboratory thoroughly searched when they leave. If a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. How's that then? Blown the story wide open? See, I, Ryunosuke Momo, mere reporter of the show you news, couldn't possibly have stolen that poison from the professor's laboratory. We can prove it, though, with the pen. Let's show the pen. Let us show the pen. There can't be any question of it. He must have stolen the poison that day. He stole it and used it to kill... If that's the case... As you identified, the poison itself is the bit of evidence we need. Because whoever stole it from the laboratory that day is the true culprit here. What's your point, you annoyingly handsome country bumpkin? My point is this. There's one way that you, Many Memo-san, could have stolen the poison that day.
I've heard enough verbal conjecture now, thank you. The court must be shown is evidence. What proof do you have this witness stole the poison on the day in question?
Let's double, triple examine this, just to make sure. We have everything we can get on this. We have everything we can say about this. Okay. Okay, so we need to get everything.
Take that!
The proof, Your Excellency, is this fountain pen.
Fountain pen? How could that possibly be relevant?
These magical pens somehow seem to have enough ink to write many thousands of kanji characters. I believe they arrived in our country for the first time some 15 years ago now.
I swear by a weasel hair calligraphy brush and nothing else. These newfangled pens are merely a fad. Well, it's a forward-thinking man of words, obviously. I love my fountain pen. Some of us who call it sumptuous ink. One's words are washed with words in the blink of an eye. That's right. Fountain pens have a small reservoir in the barrel, into which ink is sucked up through the nib of the pen in order to write with later. What is all this talking of sucking up ink have... Just as possible to suck ink up in the reservoir, it's also possible to eject it through the nib again, of course. My word! Can this really be? Well, Mini Memo-san? When you saw the deadly poison before your eyes in the laboratory that day, you used your fountain pen, your very lifeblood, to steal some of it, didn't you? By siphoning the poison up through the nib into the pen's reservoir. Yeah. Clearly, he used his hand to get rid of the rest of the ink. More absurdity! That never happened! True, we've heard that there are procedures in place to prevent thefts like this from the laboratory. But would anyone have thought to look inside a fountain pen of all places? No, I'm a little ashamed to say. For fear of offending our guests, such a detailed search would not have been conducted.
Well, it's quite startling, I must say.
I remind the court that this pen was found in the clutches of the victim when she died. In other words, it was dropped at the scene by Mini Memo-san. So the crucial question is, when exactly was the pen dropped?
Are you suggesting?
The natural conclusion is that in your haste to act whilst the victim was distracted for a moment, you dropped the pen after you emptied the poison from it into her glass. There could be any number of alternative explanations. For example, the witness could have been using his pen to write down details of his conversation with the victim. And when shocked by one of her outrageous answers, the pen fell his quivering hand.
Objection!
Writing with what ink? No, that can't be. If it was, how do you explain why the pen was devoid of ink? What? As you can see for yourself if you examine the evidence, there appeared to be no ink present in the reservoir. When a newspaper reporter goes to interview someone with nothing in his pen? No, and the pen was dropped after the poison that filled his reservoir had been emptied in the victim's glass.
Witness, what do you have to say in your defense?
So this is how our modern justice system works, is it? So what if the ink in my pen runs dry? So what if my pencil snaps? I can always claw my way back in the game. I have plenty of reserve. Ah! Oh god. Where they been thrown at? Pen attack. Sorry, pencil attack. You claim I sucked the poison up in my pen? That's wild speculation, nothing more. We have the reagent. If I can bring down a 5-7 trick like that, think again. It looks as though it's going to take one final decisive blow to finish this matter.
As I see it, the situation is now very simple. Just upon whether or not this witness did indeed steal the poison on the day in question. And therefore, it all depends upon whether or not the defense can prove that he did with evidence.
Ha! No such evidence could possibly exist. Mini Memo-san, this is how our modern justice system works. What? In the courtroom, evidence is everything. Something you would do well to remember. Because we're well past the point of speculation at this stage, I assure you.
Very well then. Call upon the defense to present the aforementioned evidence.
This is it then. This will be the final piece in the puzzle. The defense can prove, by means of this item, that was the witness's pen that was used to steal the poison. We got the chemical reagent.
Take that!
Counsel, what is that bottle?
This bottle contains the unique chemical reagent that can identify the poison in question. Ah! Yes, that poison is an entirely new synthesis of alkaloids developed by my colleagues and I. It would be impossible to take traces of it by any other method. Or, from another perspective, simply with this chemical reagent, anybody at all could check for traces of the poison. Reagent? What? One drop of the contents of this bottle, on the tip of your fountain pen, Mini Memo-san, is all it will take to solve this case beyond all reasonable doubt. No, you can't. I won't. Your crimes are bad enough. At least no one to admit defeat. Your Excellency,
The defense requests permission to carry out the test of the fountain pen at once. Ah! Oh my god. He's bringing that thing around. This isn't my fault! The Empire drove me to do this! Trying to hold its head high as a civilized nation. But Bowie said, I took up the arms for my pen. Fought terrorists in battlefield news. Name of justice, righteousness. Yes, memo is a pair of justice. Many, many. Susato, with me. I'm there. Yeah. Oh, the throw, the takedown. Awesome. Did I do it right? That was a Susato takedown, wasn't it? Not quite. That was a Ryotaro takedown. Yeah, I mean, yeah. The instant the first drop of the rage had touched the nib of the fountain pen, it was clear to everyone present. Oh, look at him now. When I saw it there in the lab, the poison, the devil got hold of me and decided to do it on a whim. Excused myself and emptied all the ink down the sink in the bathroom, washing the reservoir out carefully. And then you waited for an opportunity to suck up some of the poison, didn't you? In your fountain pen. Yes, that's right. Answer me one thing, Memo-san. Why'd you steal it? For what purpose? Is it obvious? To find out what it was made of and expose it in an article. I mean, it was a secret project after all. Too juicy for a journal like me to pass up.
Then why did this woman end up dead?
Went into that hut intending to quiz her on her situation, that's all. As a reporter. A known killer enjoying full freedom. Fitting justice by leaving the country. I told her what I thought about it. And she just laughed in my face.
Oh, what's this? A Far Eastern caveman purporting to practice journalism? Really, you must learn the difference between reporting and listening at doorways, you ignorant plebeian. What did you call me? This country is pretentious to a justice system, to a free press. It's really very depressing. Do you see our superior ways in the West? Let you lack the mental capacity to emulate them. Get out of here, you oaf. Get out and crawl back into the cave you came from.
My god. That's when I remembered. But the deadly poison I happened to have in my pen at the time. What a terrible tale. In my head, I knew I should just get out of there as quickly as possible. But I couldn't. I couldn't let her get away with what she'd done. She clearly had no remorse at all. I suppose it's my journo spirit getting all fired up. I'd like to ask you something. Yes. You often talk about justice. But Cheryl, as a journalist, you could have used other means to deliver the justice you sought. There's no justice in the press. Sorry? After that trial 9 months ago, I kept digging and digging to find out what had happened in that courtroom. Finally, I discovered the truth. It was a cover-up, that's what it was. A cover-up? What do you mean? I would remind you of your position, witness. Be careful of what you say. Oh, come on. Does it strike you as strange? We're suddenly not allowed to convict a foreign national. Consular jurisdiction should never have come into it. Yet that puffed-up Englishman was going to sail away into the sunset a free woman. The only possible explanation is that behind the scenes, some deal had gone down between Britain and Japan. What sort of deal? I'd done my research, dug up all the dirt. It was all ready to be published. But you know what happened? The editor just tore the article up. Came under pressure from the government, you mean? If our government is going to let criminals walk free, they're going to crush the free press. And what choice do I have but to see how justice is done myself? Let's not forget, Memo-san. You committed murder yourself, and you tried to lay the blame at the defendant's door. I'm sorry, but you're no better than Giselle Brett. What? The truth is, you have no right to talk about justice at all. I suppose... He sure does suppose.
It would appear that we have reached a conclusion in this trial at last. Counsel for the defense, Ryutaro Naruhodo.
Oh. Yes, sorry, Your Excellency. Just musing in a manly way here.
It's almost unbelievable this is your first experience at the Supreme Court. It's an excellent performance. In truth, it very much reminded me of your cousin's exploits.
Oh, Naruhodo's Ryunosuke, you mean?
The way he handled the trial 9 months ago, and the way you handled this one, gives me hope that we are generally entering a new era of justice in this land.
That's very flattering, Your Excellency.
Hearing the defense you put forward today made me feel most keenly the future of our justice system will be forged by you and your contemporaries.
Thank you.
So, Prosecutor Aochi, do you have any final thoughts?
But Prosecutor Aochi?
I, Taketsuchi of the Aochi clan, have been bested by a callow youth not once now, but twice. If there was any shred of my former self left, it has withered and died here today.
Gosh, your journey to cultural enlightenment sure took a while, didn't it?
Silence! Rather than living on in shame, I will end it all now with this blade. For that's the truth path to Aochiism.
Aochi-ism? One hopes that's the only way he'll be modeling himself after the witness. He hopefully just cuts off that hair.
Sprig of my top knot, the time of right for farewell. Hope is lost forever. Taketsuchi. Ah!
Oh my god. My god. Alright. Well.
Now, in regard to the defendant, Reimembami-san,
Yes, Your Excellency.
have reached my final verdict. Hereby find you...
Yay! We did it. The deed is done.
Court is adjourned.
Well, hey, we did it. It's over. My heart is still pounding in my chest, though. It's all I can do just to stay standing. Lawyers have such great responsibility, such a great burden to bear. Don't they, Naruhodo-san? Susato! Susato! Thank you. Thank you so much. You were so dashing in there. Ray and Father. Honestly, I'm so touched by everything you've... Oh no, I think I'm going to cry. It wasn't easy, but together we made it. I was on the verge of tears by the end, too. The only reason I'm still here is because of you. Oh, no, I can't take all the credit. The courage to tell the truth in there. You did wonderfully, Ray. So I have to say that the congratulations belong to you. Susato, don't be so standoffish. Sorry? We're friends, equals. The trial's over. There's no more of this formal super humility nonsense. It's time to celebrate with swagger. Time to throw caution to the wind. Caution to the... what? I'm the great defense lawyer, Ryutaro Naruhodo, and I'm taking you out to a milk bar tomorrow. Or something. Right, I see. I'll, think about it, Ray. She's asking you out on a date! Get the picture! Anyway, we really knocked the wind out of that horrid man. It felt so good. Yes, it was satisfying. It really was. Is there anyone else we could throw together?
I hope you're not looking at me, Ray. Oh, my goodness! No, of course not! Of course not!
There it is at last. Ray's lovely smile.
Fought for your friend to the very last. As your father, I'm extremely proud of you. Defense attorney Ryutaro Naruhodo.
Thank you, but I could have done without your help. Anyway, it's time to bid farewell to Ryutaro, I think. I shall miss him away, but it's back to Susato Mikotoba now. So, I'll never see him again then. What a terrible shame.
What?
What?
What is happening?
Seki-san, Inspector Hosonaga. Until you've been keeping well.
Is that really you?
Yes, I had to change my appearance for, well, obvious reasons, I hope. But it's me, Susato Mikotoba.
Don't. So dashing, so divine. No. Doubly dashing. Yes, and devilishly divine. Just look at you. I had no idea, Mr. Sato-san Esquires, that you were locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire's cousin. Astonishing, astounding ace attorney.
He said the thing. Poor Sasaki-san, so confused. I still remember the first time I ever met him. He was in a prison cell in London. What an extraordinary conundrum it was that the unwilling student from Japan found himself embroiled in. After Naruhodo-san's skillful defense at the Old Bailey, Sasaki-san was free to return to Japan. And now he seems to have earned himself great fame as an author. I'm stunned. That's a truly impressive disguise. Even I had no idea. And I'm Chief Inspector of the Police Bureau, who came up with Mr. Turtle, no less. I'm not sure you should be admitting to that, Inspector. Amazing. You're a woman of many faces, I see. Just two, really. This is a once-in-a-lifetime event, I hope. I'm not a patch on you, though, Inspector. Well, I'm a professional, of course. I do worry about Inspector Hosonaga sometimes. I really do. 9 months ago, when he appeared here at the Supreme Court to testify, he was undercover disguised as the head waiter of a restaurant. Now on the steamship to Great Britain, of course, disguised as a sailor to keep us safe on the journey. Yeah, good job he did, though. It didn't help he did it, Kazuma-sama. From my perspective, I have to admit that I have mixed feelings about all this. I mean, now the truth had been lost forever. What do you mean? I'm talking about the murder that the Englishwoman committed at the end of last year. Ah, yes, it was an English doctor she killed, as I understand it. Dr. John H. Wilson, yes. The man I invited to Japan personally. The mystery is, why did she kill him? And now the culprit herself is dead. We'll probably never know the answer. On the voyage to Great Britain, we had a most unexpected encounter with Mr. Herlock Sholmes. The great detective, I mean. Yes, I remember Mr. Sholmes well, of course. Ah, my arch-nemesis. How lightly you utter his name. Well, according to the stories published about him in The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, the detective once had a partner who helped him solve crimes, a best friend. And that man was an exceptional doctor of medicine, by the name of John H. Wilson. What? Dr. Wilson? I just can't believe that's a coincidence. I think the English doctor of medicine killed here in Japan 9 months ago must have been the friend and partner of Mr. Sholmes. If that's really true, then the poor girl will never see her beloved father again. Poor Iris. As you know, I traveled to Great Britain once myself to study. It was around the time you were born. Yes, Grandmother told me about it. Returned to Japan, I took my professorship at the Imperial Yume University. Also for another roles, and advised the government on diplomatic affairs. Yes, I was aware of that as well. In that case, I'm sure you understand. There's some confidential matters I cannot divulge to you. Could you just tell me one thing? Why'd you send me back to Japan? It's been 2 months now since I returned. When I left England, it was because an urgent telegram had arrived from Japan. Said that you collapsed with a high fever. You're growing weaker by the day. What? Where'd that news come from? It was fake. It was faked. It's faked just to get her to come back. That's what I'd like to know. Because after that long sea voyage, I found you in fine health, Father. Was there something in Great Britain that you perceived might inconvenience me in some way? Or harm me? That's really the only explanation I can think of. Dear me. You reserve your most cutting glares for your father, Susato? Sorry, my dear, I simply can't. Let me go! Many Memo-san! So, one throw is enough for you? I've got one last thing to say before they take me away. Professor! Me. I know the truth. I know I had a hand in what went on. The visiting student's fate? Visiting student? Giselle Brett, you mean? No, not her. The student of law left for Great Britain 8 months ago. What? Student of law? He must mean Kazuma-sama. What are you talking about? What's the student of Kazuma-sama? Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. The guy never made it to England. That he died on that steamship. He'll never... Ah! Oh my god, the judge.
Well, I didn't expect to find him in here. What are we officers playing at?
Terribly sorry, Your Excellency. The judge in the dialogue. I didn't expect this.
I was coming to tell you the rickshaws arrived, Eugen. It's a good job I came by.
Yes, thank you for dealing with him. I'll be there shortly. Oh, Your Excellency.
The trial's over. I'm not Your Excellency anymore. Merely your father's friend, Shishiro Jigoku.
Don't tell me he knew the whole time.
May I say that since I saw you last, you seem to have taken on a more dashing appearance, Susato.
Did you know all along? From the start of the trial?
Oh! 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 A judge sees everything, Susato.
Couldn't let you take the risk. Seshiro here hadn't known and he recognized you. So I had a word in his ear beforehand, as an old friend. So, Seshiro, shall we?
Yes, having ruled on that case, we now have various diplomatic issues to address.
Before you go, Father. Sorry, my dear. We shall have to return to our earlier conversation at a later date. Well done again, both of you. You did admirably. Oh, thank you very much.
What did you think of my Seishiro sling, eh? Don't also set a man flying like that. Ha! Oh! 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 My boy.
Whatever could Father be hiding from me? About Giselle Brett, about Dr. Wilson, and now it seems, according to the reporter, about Kazuma-sama. I'd have to bring this up with Father sometime. And nobody else is around. Judicial Assistant Mikotoba-san and Squire-S. Can I have a word? Oh, yes, of course, Oseki-san. What is it? I think perhaps it could be fate that we're meeting again like this now. You see, there's something I need to tell you. Oh? I believe that it may be related to the reason why your father summoned you back from England. This I have to hear. Please, Soseki-san, tell me at once. I will. As you know, my time in England was terrible, cursed, I've no doubt. Such awful things I was embroiled in. Thank goodness locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire stepped in. After he secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on a ship back here to my homeland. Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experiences to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The next thing I knew, I had a visitor. It was your father, Professor Mikotoba, who would ask me all sorts of things about my report. My father seemed to be especially taken with a particular part of the report. Anyway, he left eventually, having thoroughly quizzed me. But it was the very next day they sent the telegram to you asking you to return to Japan. What was it then? The particular part my father was interested in. I don't really know exactly. But do you remember them? Those 2 terrible cases I was caught up in? Of course, I can never forget. Your father seemed to concern himself mainly with the second case. The second one? You mean the one Mr. Sholmes forbade any of us to talk about in public? That's why the only case involving you that any member of the public is aware of is the first. Well, I don't care. I don't have to listen to what the dastardly detective says. Anyway, the point is, it seems that case somehow holds the key to all these curious unanswered questions. The horrific, hideous, heinous case. The case of the haunted lodgings. How's this all tie together? That case somehow caused my father to summon me urgently back to Japan? I thought the whole business was over. It seems I was wrong. Perhaps that was only the start. Perhaps the story is not yet told. Ah. God dang it!
So, the mystery of that English woman's death is solved, thank goodness. And having stood in the Supreme Court now, I think I can comprehend a little better. How you must be feeling as you fight for people's freedom in a foreign land, Naruhodo-san. But actually, I'm writing to you today because of another matter.
Oh? Are you coming back?
Susek-san, and we talked about that second case he was involved in. Father has said nothing to me, but I feel certain of it. That case holds the key to some great unsolved mystery. My notes on the case should still be in the office, tucked away at the back of the shelves on the left. Perhaps you might like to look over them again. Today, for the first time this year, it feels as though summer has arrived. The sky is a brilliant blue. It makes me long to see you again. Yours, Susato.
But did she and Ray go on the day, though? Did she and Ray go on a date, though? That's crucial information I need to know. Guess they're not gonna tell us. Oh, well. Oh, boy. The Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro. Oh. Okay. I really wanna. Ugh. I think I'll stop here. I think I want to keep going, but we've only been going for almost 3.5 hours. I do want to keep going, but I think I'll have to leave it here. Next time we play this game, the Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro. Boy, oh boy, boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay. Okay. Hi. I'm tired. I'm tired. I need to lay down for a little bit, I think. No naps. Gotta make myself not nap, though. Don't ruin my sleep schedule more than I already have. Anyway. Hope y'all enjoyed. This was fun as always. So I'm gonna try to play something else on stream next time. As much as I really want to keep playing this. But we're done for now. I'll see you guys next time. Take care of yourselves. And anything else? Nope. That's it. See you guys next time. Bye bye.